On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick are taking their tier list talents to the ground as they'll rank out the more memorable land vehicles featured in the Star Wars universe. And yes, they will call them AT-ATs, not AT-ATs, so there's your trigger warning, prequel generation. They'll also answer Ask Us Anything questions and review How to Train Your Dragon live action. And of course, they'll end the show with the Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey now, everybody! Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. Look at this. You're already showering us with gifts and cash and super tips or whatever the hell they're called. We love you, Kramer. We love you, B-Mad, a.k.a. Based and Brazen. Let's go. We got Divided in here. Hey, look who showed up again. Mando Pirate. They're in the chat right now on the live stream on the YouTube channel having a discussion about the Indiana Jones video game that our very own young Nick reviewed many months ago and said it is a must play if you can get your hands on it. Right,
yeah,
Nick?
it's super fun.
Said,
super fun game.
All right, yeah, you said that's a winner, so.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a good one. It's in that Lucasfilm, LucasArts property, so you're not straying too far away from Star Wars. I think that Troy Baker does a fantastic job at the at the Indiana Jones Harrison Ford voice. It's so much so that Harrison Ford actually came out and said,
yeah, he gave
this
it a blessing.
this is proof. Yeah, he's like, this is proof why you don't need to use AI. This guy does my voice better than I do my voice.
All right, Harrison, let's go. Hey there,
So,
Hunter
yeah.
Biden Gaming. No, I'm not Mr. Based. I don't know who that is. Shadow MC1. Yo! And we're saying hello as well. Eternal, I don't know what all those pigs are for, but we love it. Darth Matter Art, good to see you. We see your art on the Instagram sometimes, and it's nice to see you now on the live stream. Speaking of live stream, those of you that only listen to the SWTS on podcast, if you do want to watch this shit show live, Wednesdays, 5:30 p. Eastern, as close as we can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Divided is saying the screen is blank. Hopefully that's not the case. Anyone else there? Nick, you see anything?
I see it. Yeah, no, I see us. We're there.
All right.
Maybe just give it a refresh.
Yeah, maybe catch it up to the live. I don't know, Divided, but we're trying to pretend that we don't have technical issues on this show. So nothing is wrong. Nothing ever goes wrong. Everything is perfect here.
Shadow MC1, thank you for the subscription.
Big up to the Shadow MC1. Welcome to the club. Hopefully you stick around. Sometimes that's not always the case. Apparently we swear too much, or we're stupid, or we have conversations that don't warrant us having girl partners. That was one of the ones from this week, Nick, when we were talking about I forget what it was, either we were talking about the Sith or starships, and he's like, this is what I'd be doing if I didn't have a girlfriend. And I was like, well, you should focus on your grammar. That's all I replied, because it looked like someone who hasn't been to school in a few years typed the message. All right. We're back with another tier list. You know, we'll be getting into that for the meat of today's episode. But before we do that, we always have Ask Us Anything. Then we got Pop Talk to discuss what's going on in pop culture, what you should be checking out, the movie theater, playing on your consoles or PC if you are a part of that PC master race. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess we get right into Ask Us Anything. We had a pretty long show last week. We covered the 60 most iconic starships in Star Wars. We made a few mistakes. We included the Snowspeeder, which technically probably should have been in this week's list. Oh well, sue us, okay? You can send your complaints to SWTSHQ, and our resident cat will file them in the litter box, all right?
That's right.
But this week, like I said, we're doing land vehicles, and I really should have clarified it as vehicles that cannot go into space. because there might be a few that hover off the ground, don't necessarily touch the ground. Some,
Hovercrafts.
yeah, some fly in atmosphere even. So let's go.
Whoa, they're gonna rip us apart.
Hey there, Yoitz Isaac. This is a podcast. It's whatever you want to call it, really. It's just kind of it's a mess. So welcome. I'm glad you found
Star Wars College. Welcome to Star Wars College. We have 10 years of content for you to go back and learn through. So by the time you finish listening to every podcast we've ever done, you'll have yourself a PhD in Star Wars.
That's right. And it's probably bogus, but hey, at least we're having fun here at the SWTS. All right, like I said, we always do Ask Us Anything to kick off a new episode. If you want to get involved, check our socials out on YouTube. Join that up. You don't even have to be a member, although we'd love you to consider donating as little as $1.99 to the channel to become a member, to get some of these cool emojis and icons next to your name. Glurber Durble, your Star Wars fans, name every clone. What clone do you want? You got Fives, Rex, Echo, Cody. Oh my God, I can't do it. 99.
Jesse.
Jesse.
Wrecker, Hunter.
There we go.
Crosshair.
Go, Tech.
Boom. All of them.
Yeah, get some. All right. Yeah, we know plenty of stupid shit that means nothing, glurble durble, so you've tuned into the right place. But like I said, if you want to get into the Ask Us Anything, just check out our socials throughout the week before we go live on Wednesday. We usually put up the prompt a few times, and you let her rip. Doesn't have to be Star Wars related. If you want to know why the Earth is round and not flat, you can ask that question. If you want to know about the moon landing, you can ask about that too. It does not matter. There's always time for Star Wars time, and there's always time for us to blow hot air about stuff we probably don't know about. All right, so Nick, let's see what we got going on here in the Ask Us Anything arena. Goodbye, browser. Hello, Ask Us Anything. Okay, let's get over to the questions. I'm on the wrong screens like an idiot, but hey, like I said, it is the Star Wars Time show. All right, there we go. First one coming from a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, Baron's Black Series. We started potty training this week. How'd it go for you at Star Wars Time Show, man? Okay, I'll take this one for you, Nick. You can go ahead and take a break. I know you've been talking a lot. It was actually pretty fantastic. I had a little lady. I will tell you, my wife did 98% of the potty training, and she knocked it out of the park. I'm pretty sure my kid was out of diapers before she turned 2. We definitely had some shit disasters after that, where, she would sit on the edge of the seat and shit on it, or wipe her ass on the seat, or, wipe her ass on the toilet paper roll. But, we figured all that out, and she is an all-star pooper and peer. I've heard for little swinging dicks, it's much more difficult. All right, so good luck, Spencer. Good luck. And then Father's Day actually ended up being fantastic. I thought it was going to be a bit of a Debbie Downer. I was making it a bit of a Debbie Downer. We had to go to our first travel lacrosse tournament down in Cincinnati this week, so I was like, oh, Matt, Dad's not going to get his day. Ugh. Dad's going to have to be being a dad and supporting his daughter. Whoa, it's me. But luckily and not luckily for their team, they won 0-3 on Saturday, so they only had one game to play on Sunday. It was 8 in the morning, so we were actually back at Star Wars Time Show headquarters by 10 o'clock Sunday. I got to get myself a fantastic sandwich at Buck City Sammy's, and then close the night with some Qdoba. So for me, it's all about eating on Father's Day, as most celebrations are for me. I love to eat. It is my favorite drug on the planet. All right, Nick, well, since you're not potty training anyone and you're not a dad yet, we're going to go ahead and move on. But I'll let you take a stab at this one first. So we got our man Kramer coming out here. Hey there, said hi, Aaron Moslage. Welcome. If J.J. Abrams is, as in he owns directed, right? That's what we're saying here. If J.J. Abrams owned directed the entire sequel trilogy, do you think Palpatine would have still returned? And did you have a great Father's Day? So you just heard my answer there, Kramer. Nick, I want to hear what you say about this, because we may have different answers on this. If our man JJ was in here for the whole trilogy, does Palpatine still somehow return?
I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, honestly, I don't know, because JJ, I don't think ever laid out his full, like, if I did the whole trilogy, here's what happened. type of spiel. But I would have imagined that he probably would have gone a different direction, and he was kind of, like forced into a decision for episode 9 after what happened to Snoke in episode 8. So it's a hard question to answer. I would probably imagine no, because there was no reason to really bring him back when Snoke was the bad guy. Um, so yeah, I would say no, but there's no way of us fully knowing the answer to that.
Yeah, because we have some insights into what would have been if everything stayed as is. Colin was not going to bring back Palpatine. Kylo was going to be the big bad with then it wasn't Momin, but it was a Momin level Sith Lord out there that like kind of interferes with Kylo and works him over and all that fun type of stuff. You know what, man, it's tough because he's the one that made the choice to bring him back. So I think it must have been in his crawl somewhere, it must have been stewing around in that gray matter. So knowing I love JJ, but it's kind of a thing that he does struggle in closing things out. I think he still would have fucked this up. I do. I think he would have fucked it up.
Yeah, possible.
Just based on the fact, Nick, that he and his buddy Chris Terrio were the ones that came up with the fucking dumb idea in the first place. And they didn't need to. They had Kylo Ren right there, ready, as Supreme Leader. Could have been the big bad. Could have went somewhere with that and brought in maybe another major Sith Lord that's been chilling out. But no, we did the somehow introduction through Fortnite, and the rest is history. All right? So it's a damn shame, because it definitely tanked that sequel hard. Tanked the sequel hard, that choice, in my opinion. All right. Just Reasons 2 has been showing up in the YouTube comment section, so we appreciate that. Just Reasons 2. And they're asking, what's y'all's favorite character from the Star Wars series? Mine's Embo.
Let's see. What's your favorite character from the Star Wars series? From all of Star Wars?
No, from the Star
question.
Wars. So whatever that is, it's just from the Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. My favorite character is probably... I mean, I really like Han Solo. Han Solo, I think, is a character that kind of does operate a little bit differently than everybody else. Han and Leia are the two that like don't follow your prototypical character archetypes, especially when they were first established in the OT. Like, you're very used to like your heroic journey follower, like Luke Skywalker. You're very used to like your wise mentor, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Han and Leia were some really cool like roguish characters that didn't really follow the standard heroic journey script. Yeah, so maybe those two.
All right. I know it's lame, but he really is my guy, and it's Anakin Darth Vader. I mean, he's the basis of the films. He's why Star Wars exists, whether you want to believe it or not. Just go look up old videos or interviews from the maker himself. It is the story of Anakin Skywalker from start to finish. So I'm taking the easy way out and going with the big guy. Alpha Kenny 1 asking how long YouTube been dating. Well, Nick, it's been what? At least 10 years at this point in time. So
yeah, I mean,
so
actually,
far...
I was on my LinkedIn, and I have like Star Wars Time Show as one of my things on there, is like, oh yeah, content creator for Star Wars Time Show, host of the show.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years and 3 months.
There
I just looked at it
so
earlier today. So
our
we did our first
is thriving.
yeah, we did our first Star Wars podcast again. And we had podcasted on and off before that, but we did our first Star Wars Time Show in April of 2015, when we were leading up to the release of TFA. So
that's right.
And that very first show, actually, if anybody can actually find it, because it's not even attached to like the Star Wars Time Show proper feed. This is when we're still doing it on Matt's old website, Entertainment Buddha. It was actually kind of a round table show. It was you as the primary host. I was on there with, I think, 3 other people that you worked with.
Yeah, you were still Gamer Assault Weekly, and we'd like bring you in.
Yeah.
It was the Entertainment Buddha team would bring you in, and we would chat.
Yeah,
and then Nick and I were like, you know what? We kind of like doing this, not with these assholes, because they're not like us. So we spun out and it became a Friday night just async podcast where I'd get shit faced at B-dubs and basically scream at Nick for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Sometimes forget even what he was saying and lose my mind. So yeah, if you can find those, that might be out there on YouTube. Actually, don't go looking for them because I don't want that stuff dug up. Because I probably in this day and age, in this climate, I will be canceled immediately. All right. Moving on with Ask Us Anything. We got one from a longtime fan here, Scion XTC, saying, if you were a wrestler, what would your name be? And then would you be a baby face or a heel? And then what's your finisher, Nick?
Dang. That's a go. I'm not super into the wrestling space anymore. I stopped watching wrestling like during the Attitude Era. But yeah, I don't know. I would probably be I don't know what a finisher is. Is a finisher like the guy who comes in at the end?
So let me expose my knowledge here.
Maybe you could take this one first, Matt.
But essentially, most wrestlers have two moves. There's their signature. So we'll use The Rock. His signature, I would say, would be the People's Elbow. The signature usually sets up the finisher, where his finisher would probably be the was it the Rock Slam or whatever the hell it was
Rock
called?
Bottom? That's
yeah, the
the
Rock Bottom. Yeah, so there you go.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have to think about this one, so I'm not going to give an answer super quick. I would probably be a baby face if that's the two choices, because I don't think that I would be a super great villain. I'm not very believable as a villain. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my name would be. I'm pulling out of this one. I can't think of a wrestler name right off the top of my head. So Matt, you go ahead and hit him with what you.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's dumb as shit. But I'm just trying to think like off the top of my head. I would probably keep my name, honestly, because you can do a lot with Haywood, like hey, would you blow me, and hey, would you get me something.
Yeah.
But I'd probably just be Matt the Hammer Haywood.
There you go. There you go. That's good. I got mine. I finally, I was like, oh wait, here's my my gamer
young
tag
Nick, dude,
on
just
some
young
games
Nick.
that
Walk
I
out. You walk out in your 50s and you're still young Nick. Like, hey.
I would be Tricky Nicky. And I would be like a magician style character. I'd be like in magician garb, and I'd like throw cards at people and like take like a handkerchief out of my pants and like throw it in somebody's face and then jump on them, stuff like that. So that would be my persona.
My finisher is one I've seen a girl do now. She's in NXT, and I hate that I forget her name, and I hate that I don't know the full name of the move, but it's something called like the Soul Snatcher or something like that. Nick, she does a reverse gainer off the top rope and then kind of like grabs the person's head in midair in this reverse gainer and fucking spikes their head on the ground. So it's insane. Like, I don't know how this girl is not a paraplegic yet, the way that like the amount of control this move takes. So
some of those moves are crazy. My finisher would be, I would like, this is like some like weird, I don't even know if they still do this anymore, but it was like super, like there was always these finishers that are just super stupid to watch, where it's like somebody gets like their foot stepped on and then they're dazed, and then the guy's dazed, and then like the dude jumps to the top rope and like clotheslines him or does some shit like that. So I would pull out a deck of cards and I'd like throw them in front of their face, and they'd be like all confused about it. And then I would roll pin them. I would just roll, just roll on their legs, pin them while they're confused. Boom.
Tricky Nicky is a technical tactician type of wrestler. I'm more of like just a meathead. So, all right, that was a good one there. Scion XTC. It's always fun to pretend. In fact, Raw coming to Columbus on Monday, and we got tickets, and it's looking like a great card. Nice. Cody versus Jay. Jade Cargill versus Roxanne for Queen of the Ring semifinals. You gotta love it. Okay, next one. Hey, Rippic Tan resurfacing here. What Star Wars projects are y'all? There's a lot of y'alls going around there. I know, Nick, you're a y'aller, so it makes sense to you. To me, I'm more of like a you guys, or if I really want to get full Pittsburgh, it would be yins. So y'all looking forward to. I miss Neil. What do you think, Nick? What are you looking for?
My project that I'm looking forward to the most. Honestly, the project that I'm looking forward to the most is Starfighter. It's the Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling movie. We got some casting news on that a couple weeks ago that Mia Goth is joining the cast next to Ryan Gosling. Um, it's a movie that I really do feel like is a welcome departure from like the standard formula of Star Wars, like, silver screen movies. It's a reason why I really enjoyed Solo, because it had a much different feel than standard Star Wars episodic movies, or even Rogue One, which kind of like still felt like it was in that episodic formula. But I'm really excited to see what a Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling duo can bring to Star Wars. I think that Gosling is an incredibly charismatic actor, and if they allow him to really thrive in that, then I think it can go really well. And Sean Levy has made some super fun material recently. If you go through his IMDb, you can see that like he doesn't focus on like super dramatic or super depressing things. Like this dude likes to have fun with his films, and I really want to see a Star Wars movie where like one of the primary motives is like, hey, let's have some fun with this thing and really make it happen. So yeah, that'll be my choice.
Honestly, young Nick, that is the right answer. It is. It's the right answer. So I'll provide a counterpoint here. And I'll give my reasoning behind it. But I'm kind of like Mando Pirate here, where I'm a sucker for lore, stories that are existing that I'm waiting to be fleshed out, finished, added to. So I am too. I'm going Mando, Grogu, and then I'm going Ahsoka season 2, because these are tentpole projects in the Mandoverse era. And by the time Mando and Grogu comes out, I think we're looking at almost 2 or 3 years since the last time we've touched in on them. It'll be at least 2 years since we've been in the Mandoverse era, Ahsoka being our last tour of it. So I am most interested to kind of start learning more answers about that Mandoverse era. Even though young Nick is correct, I too want to see this new blood take up the Star Wars mantle and potentially do something different. And I do like that it's set in the sequel trilogy, so it's also going to give me some of that lore expansion that I love so much about all this fake shit. All right. And next question, Nova Toymation. Spaceballs 2, day one must be in theaters. I think he's asking that's a question. It is going to be in theaters. I know they made that a point when they promoted it last week. So yeah, that I won't even be there day one, Nova Toymation. I'll be there day 0. Because I see all new movies Thursday before they officially come out. Thank you.
There you go. Matt's got the Alfredo, inside scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Spaceballs was a movie that like I got into pretty like early in my life. Like after I had seen Star Wars, it's probably like 13 years old when I saw Spaceballs for the first time. And I know that movie came out like long before I turned 13, but I loved it. Like Spaceballs is one of my favorite Mel Brooks movies. And it's
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs. Pizza the Hut and Lone Star and Barf, like just all the characters are great. I mean,
the assholes.
Yeah. Right? I'm just surrounded by assholes.
Isn't he the gunner and his fucking eyes are crossed, right? When he turns
his eyes are crossed. His eyes are
ludicrous speed.
Really dude, it's just fantastic. Like, and what I really love about it is they're getting Rick Moranis to come back. I mean, if you
okay, good. I didn't know if that was confirmed. So Dark Helmet is coming back. What about Lone Star? Is Pullman still alive?
Yeah. Pullman's coming, and he's bringing his son, and his son is Lewis Pullman, who was in Thunderbolts. So like he's had some pretty big exposure recently. So he's going to be in it as well. So confirmed is definitely Bill and Lewis Pullman and Rick Moranis returning as Dark Helmet. So dude, I'm pumped for it. Like it sucks that obviously like John Candy's not with us anymore. He's not going to be able to reprise the role as Barf. So we'll see what they do there.
Well, Joan Rivers can't voice the golden bot either.
Dot. Yeah, Dot Matrix. But yeah, I'm pumped. I'm super excited for Spaceballs 2, dude. I'm in and ready to go.
No, yeah, I'm all about it. I haven't watched a Mel Brooks type of movie in years, and I might need to, because I love just stupid slapstick idiocy, and it's just like I love
it.
It's like Blazing Saddles. I mean, listen, we're not going to quote anything from it, but that's the epitome of Brooks. It's just like just in your face slapstick comedy, a little edgy. I mean, think how edgy that shit was. I mean, you probably can't
That
even
is
watch
true.
Blazing Saddles right now in public without getting yelled
Oh,
at.
dude,
So.
I mean, Blazing Saddles is definitely a controversial movie because it does like it speaks specifically
That like
to
that old
race,
lady
right?
just
Like,
walks up to the sheriff. He's like, "It's so terrible." Or that one guy
yeah, man.
punches the horse out. All right. Sorry.
Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff in there.
History of the world. I mean, come on. All right, here we go. All right, so yeah, Nova, we're definitely gonna be there. All right, ever seen a ghost while living on this rock? EKU Rory
Have
must
I
be
ever?
out doing some ayahuasca these days.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Have I
deep
ever
for
seen a
him.
ghost? I have not seen a ghost, and I will say that I grew up in one of the most haunted cities in the United States, New Orleans.
Nolans.
But here's what I will say. I've lived at my house in New Orleans or in New Orleans surrounding area for a very long time. Never seen a ghost, nothing like that. One of my really good friends from middle school and high school, like was over at our house frequently. We had like a garage in the backyard that had an extra bathroom just in case like somebody was in the can and you needed to use it while you're at the house. You go in the garage. He went back there one day at night, used the bathroom. He runs back into the house and he's just pale white, like
Oh
crazy,
no.
and then he comes back and he's like, I saw a ghost in the garage. And he described this ghost to a T. He was like, it was an old guy wearing overalls. He had a straw hat on, long gray beard. Like I could see through him. It was crazy the amount of detail that he was able to give on this ghost that he saw in my garage that I used to go in all the time. So he saw a ghost at my house. I've never seen a ghost.
Check that out. Yeah, I mean,
Wild.
listen, I've done plenty of things that could possibly cause me to see ghosts, and it still has not happened. So if they're out there, if there's a cool one around here like Casper, come say hello. I'm open to it.
That's right.
All right.
We're open.
Okay. And I think that completes Ask Us Anything for this week. Don't worry, the fans will have their voice heard again at the end of the show in the fan segment when we do Question of the Week, which, of course, is what is your most favorite Star Wars land vehicle? All right, so let's crisscross over, talk a little pop culture at this point in time, get back to that browser love. As always, I was out there scouting the theaters for you all. Checked out 2 movies in between the last show and this one. And I'm happy to report they are both excellent. First one, How to Train Your Dragon live action. I don't know when I became a super fan of this franchise, Nick, but I think I am one at this point in time.
Nice.
I've always
Nice.
enjoyed the animated trilogy that's out there, and the third one came out when my daughter was still young, and I got to take her there. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. But we all went out and checked out the live action version last week, just thinking, hey, whatever, Disney does it. Let's go ahead and see what this is all about. And it's awesome. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. It's pretty much a shot for shot remake. They even bring back Gerard Butler as Stoic, the whatever, the lead Viking king and all that shit. There's some slight tweaks to some of the characters and explanations as to why they're not all just, white people. But outside of that, it follows the film's formula to a T. It still hits, even though I pretty much know the entire movie. I still got emotionally involved, engaged. And the music, man, it's one of those trilogies. It has a theme that's very John Williams-like in that it can elicit emotion from me, and it's very positive. It's not high energy, but it's like yeah, hiccup, toothless. You feel fucking good when you hear it. And
Yeah.
typically
Yeah.
when a film has a score like that, quality acting, good story, it's going to be fantastic in the end. And I really do think this live action remake is one of the best cartoon to live action conversions between Disney, DreamWorks, or whoever I've seen. I mean, it's absolutely perfect. I hope it does well enough monetarily to justify doing it for the next 2 films, because I thought it was pretty fantastic.
Nice.
Hey,
Yeah. I
my
mean,
buddy
I've been
Slater
a.
up in this piece. Look at this guy. Let's make some pottery
There we
together.
go.
Hooga. All right, let's do it. I'll sit down and you hold me as I shape the mud. All right, Slater. Okay, next one. even better than How to Train Your Dragon live action. But I got out and saw this Stephen King. I guess it was a short story from Stephen King called The Life of Chuck, starring Tom Hiddleston, aka Loki, and of course Luke Skywalker. So I had to go out there and support my man Mark Hamill. But also, listen, I like Stephen King. I like Tom. I like Mark. It's like, well, it can't be that bad, can it? And I went and checked out the Life of Chuck, and by the end, I was like, you know what? This might be my second favorite movie of 2025, right behind Sinners. I can't quite put it above Sinners at this point in time, but the Life of Chuck it's 2 thumbs up. It's a beautiful film. It's told out of order, so you start in Act 3, and it's at first you're like, what is going on here? Because it feels almost like a disaster movie. But then it moves into Act 2, and you see a younger version of Chuck, Tom's Chuck, if you will. And then you get all the way to Act 1 when Chuck is a kid, and then the later acts that you saw first become informed, and you're like, that's what's happening in Act 3. That's why they're talking about the internet going down every other day or natural disasters taking place. It's just a fucking good movie about life. And how you as a human choose to go about your life. If you're given bad news or you have a bad day, how do you process that? Do you let it defeat you and take you down and cause you to make decisions that could be detrimental to your life? Or do you overcome them and look for the bright spot in each and every day? And this movie really captures that mantra and makes you feel like, well, fuck. Maybe I should start thinking a little more positively in life than being such a goddamn pessimist. It's fantastic. I wouldn't say it's fuck it. This should be seen in theaters, although it's not some big summer blockbuster. But support the cast, support the creators. Get out there and check out The Life of Chuck. It's fantastic. And Tom Hiddleston is an aces dancer. I don't know if he was a dancer before this. But man, he went through some choreography and absolutely kills it. It's fantastic. All right, and young Nick, I think you had something to possibly tease for next week's show, right?
Yeah, so we may be introducing a new sponsor to the show next week. Keep your eyes peeled. We're still going through a little bit of setup on our side, but you may see a little splashy sponsor photo pop up on the old screen, or you may see a little bottle or shaker here or there on Matt and I's desk. So keep your eyes out. The sponsorship
Salvation
is just,
Army bucket.
Yeah, Salvation Army bucket. But bell. Hey, if you use our code, you'll get a percentage off, and you'll also help support the show. So keep your eyes.
Please tell me it's Prime energy drink. Is it Prime? Is it Logan Paul's
It is
drink?
not. It is not Prime energy drink. We are not sponsored by Logan or whatever Jake Paul.
Yeah, the Paul Bros.
That is not.
He's got that Prime shit splattered all over wrestling. Ever since Vince left, like Triple H allows third-party advertising all over the ring, and Prime's usually a prime suspect there. All right.
Yeah.
So there you go. Anything pop culture wise, Nick, or should we start ranking 42 Star Wars land vehicles from S tier to scrap metal? All right.
Yeah, nothing pop culture-y from my side. Honestly, like it was a pretty light pop culture week. But yeah, the only thing I'll say is if you like kind of like morbid true crime documentaries, there is one that is releasing on HBO Max now called The Mortician, which is just absolutely fucking wild. So if you like true crime documentary stuff like that,
it is real, but it's a reenactment of a crime that happened, or
no,
like a documentary.
Documentary series, and basically what it follows is this guy who is the criminal in this whole thing is actually a part of the documentary. Like it's this guy, his name is David Sconce. He ran a crematorium in some part of the country, I think in like the Nevada area, and like really did some crazy shit with this crematorium that he was running, broke laws, did a whole bunch of like illegal stuff, and just like it's a true crime story where I never thought that I would be interested. I was like, what a crematorium? They do like I know what they do. They burn bodies, they collect ashes, stuff like that. I was like, what could have possibly been done here that could be so egregious? And holy shit, like you would be surprised at this at this stuff. League is also watching it, so League is on the Mortician. It is a crazy and wild story. So if you like true crime documentaries, go ahead and
All
watch
right.
Mortician on HBO Max.
Yeah, there's two docs out there, one on Max, one on Netflix about the Titan sub. Those are pretty good from the
Yeah, I
idiot
wonder
that exploded himself. And then
yeah, we're gonna get into that one too. So
apparently the Ohio State doc on Max is quite the fucking bombshell for my alma mater. And I'm probably not gonna watch
oh
it just
shit.
because it makes me sick. But
I did see that. Is this the what is it? Is this the Happy Valley of
no,
what you call
it's
it?
the Ohio
Okay.
State wrestler rape that Jim Jordan kind of
Yeah, that well,
championed.
that's what I
And
was saying. Is this like the same thing as like the
yeah,
Happy
yeah,
Valley documentary they did
more or
on Penn
less.
State? Now it's on Ohio State.
Yeah, more or less, more or less. And
Yeah.
he's an Ohio representative, and wins
Uh,
like by a landslide every
all
2 years.
all
So
the time, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
Just like all
okay.
those, you know. What can you do? What can you
What
do?
can you do exactly, Nick? The way things are going these days, we're not gonna be doing much. So we're gonna enjoy our time while we can. Otherwise, someone find me a fucking rocket ship to space, because I'm ready to get the hell out of here. All right, well, let's do this thing. Last week, we broke down 60 Star Wars starships. We ranked them from S tier to scrap metal. There was a little bit of a contention over the TIE fighter. I saw that our AI companion liked that video, Nick. Actually, we got a lot of good. I have to applaud Opus. You know, we use Opus every week. Nick feeds the full
We
show
do.
into, and it cuts up usually around 40 or 50 clips that are 3 minutes or less. And, you
Hmm.
know, Nick
Hmm.
will usually put out a week's worth. And if I'm feeling bored or got extra time, I'll make a pass through it. And I had to shut some down, Nick, but I'm probably going to work through the rest because I think the AI fucking killed it. Like the titles
Yeah.
it made were fantastic. I was
Hmm.
like, damn, look at
Yeah.
this thing.
This one, I think the tier lists give it a lot of like stuff to work with because it's like we're talking about stuff for short amount of times and it can throw up those like splashy titles. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that it definitely did
It
good
did
with
it
this
did a good
most
job.
recent
So
one.
I've actually been working through that, putting them like at the end of July, August now. So there's always time for Star Wars time, I promise you. And you're always every single day of the year, there's going to be some Star Wars Time Show content popping up in your YouTube feed, Instagram, TikTok, Discord. Dick Eaton with a good one here. Yeah, Dick, I don't understand that either. They should have just swam up after that sub imploded. I'm with you. All right, so like I said, last week we broke down the starships. You can check out our rankings and the fan rankings out on StarWarsTime.net. And now today, we're going to take our talents, our judging skills, to the land vehicles, or like I said, vehicles that cannot make it to space. So yes, we did screw up last week by including the snow speeder. I did I did kind of bring that up last week. It was a bad call. So go ahead and make fun of me. Yes, we're loser fans. We don't know anything. We love each other. Whatever things else you want to say about us, because we talk about Star Wars on YouTube, and you happen to tune in. So is it us or is it you? I don't really know. Can you oil up for my Riley? Yeah, sure. Where's the oil at? Hey, can you bring the oil down here? The baby oil that I put on every night. All right. Okay, it's coming down there, Jacob Pfeiffer. Just hold on. All right, so the way we do this, we've got 42 of these land vehicles to get through. We'll be starting right here at number 1, which is going to be, I think, a lot of people's favorite here, the 74Z speeder bike, first introduced in Return of the Jedi. And it is, I mean, come on, it's the way it sounds, the way it looks, the way it's used in Return of the Jedi, the hijinks with the Ewoks, then the twins getting on it, you know, jumping from bike to bike, Luke, you know, chopping one in half. And we've seen them pop up in other bits of Star Wars. You know, we had the white ones in The Mandalorian with IG-11 and
Hmm.
Grogu riding
Hmm.
through town like pimps. So it's a very iconic vehicle. It's definitely one that I think most fans, if it was in a lineup, they'd be able to identify it as a Star Wars speeder bike. So I think it might rank pretty high, at least in my mind. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, dude, I actually love this one, and I'll break it down for you why I love this one. First, speed, incredibly fast. Like we've seen these things zipping through the forest on Endor, dodging, like the nimbleness, the speed,
Phew,
maneuverability,
phew,
and it has weapons attached to it
pew,
too.
pew,
It's got
pew.
that front blaster and like right up on the nose. Like these things are combat capable. They're very easy to maneuver with. Even an Ewok can do it. They're fast. They're
Pat
nimble.
Blue.
I think that this is like I'm putting it up there like A S tier maybe. There it can get around, which for some of these other vehicles we cannot say that. So
Listen, I'm not looking away from Nick because I think he's ugly. I'm literally looking at my Paplu Black Series riding his 74Z. And as Nick was also kind of pontificating on it, it's very clear to me. It's an S tier land vehicle. It's S tier. 74Z, welcome to the top. All right, so that was an easy one. This next one also, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's much debate on this one. I guess it depends on your generation and your appreciation for the prequels, the OTs, or the sequels here. He built it himself. You know, he won the Boonta Eve Classic, beating Sabalba. Not just by a hair, took him out in whole, literally took him out because Sabalba was trying to cheat. It was fast. He pieced it together through junk, through his slave owner's shop, outside of the power converter that Qui-Gon gave him. Our friends over beyond the Dune Sea think it's yellow, even though it's blue and orange. But Anakin's pod racer is very iconic. It was turned into a video game, like literally a video game you could ride in the pod at the arcades. It got, home video games. It's got that killer, like, sound. It's doing jumps. It's winning races. Doesn't one of the engines get kind of reconfigured into Cobb Vance's speeder in the Mandoverse? So it's got all sorts of history. This one, Nick, is definitely starting off very high for me, but I'll go ahead and let you level set and see where we go with this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a super cool vehicle. I mean, obviously it's the fastest pod racer that we've seen. I mean, that's what Anakin told us before we started running it. And then when we see the race, we can clearly see that the only way that they could really beat him was trying to sabotage him. And even with the sabotage, he's able to pull out the victory anyway. Super fast, super nimble, very cool looking. Like you said, the sound effects on it are really awesome too. Lacks offensive capability, but it also wasn't built for that. So if that's not something that we're taking into account with these, then I will say that this is probably an S tier vehicle. Like you said,
Yeah,
it spawned its own game.
that's
Like,
right.
come on.
That's right. I mean, it's got a lot of love. It's got a lot of lines people like to quote. Anakin looked like a pimp with his little helmet and goggles on. It was breaking down. Listen, it's an iconic land vehicle. So yeah, I know we're looking like homers right now, but we start with two S tiers as we're tier ranking that is 42 Star Wars land vehicles. All right, the next one here is going to need a little setup for young Nick as it needs some setup for myself. And also we're going to go ahead and start qualifying how we're going to start saying a lot of these vehicle names, because I know you young fans out there think that we're stupid when we pronounce things that start with an AT as at, even though that's what AT spells. It spells at. A-T would be AT. But when you get an A and a T together, it's an at. All right? So every all-terrain vehicle that we talk about is going to be referred to as an at something. And here's why I say something. And this is why I'm a genius and why I'm right and the rest of you are wrong. You just know when to say at or when to say something like, in this case, an at AP. I could call what we're going to rate here an at app, but it doesn't make sense. So you say, very naturally, an at AP. So the all-terrain attack pod, Nick, this thing is essentially a sniper tank that was used in the Clone Wars. It's got a similar structure to the AT-AT, obviously much smaller, only 4 legs, but it's just got like this honking ass sniper-like tank turret on it. Might have been used in the Felucia campaign, but nothing that really kind of stood out from the prequel era. It was one of the more hidden background type of vehicles. So what do you want to start the bidding at on the AT-AP.
Yeah, like you said, not much screen time on this one. I think I can remember seeing it maybe like, I don't think they had him on Geonosis when the war broke out post Arena. I can't remember seeing them there.
No.
Maybe it was, video game focused like you were saying, or like very very small scenes at the end of Rots where you may see one stomping through Felucia. From my understanding, it's a smaller vehicle, so this isn't like AT-AT size. This is, I think it might even be shorter than the AT-STs, the AT-STs. Um, Not very maneuverable. Basically, like you said, kind of like a one shot, one kill type of thing. So it doesn't have a high rate of fire. I'm going to start this off at B tier, just because it does have that big gun firing capability. But I can't see it going higher than B.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's just something off-putting about this one to me. It's almost
Doesn't
like
look
it's
cool.
like it's drone based, you know. I mean, maybe it only has 3 legs now that I'm looking closer at the picture, so it is kind of odd looking. You know what? As I stare at this longer and longer, I'm starting to hate it. So I'll take your B tier recommendation and raise it to a C tier.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something
Yeah.
about that AT-AP that's just kind of pissing me off right now. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
I had a bad
It
golf
doesn't look
practice
as
last
like,
night.
I will say that the first thing I thought of when I saw this in comparison to like other vehicles is like, this looks like it's relatively easy to bring down, right? Like an AT-AT looks like it takes a lot to take down,
Yeah,
and we know it takes a
what'd
lot
you
to
just
take down.
say? What the fuck did you just say?
AT-AT.
What the fuck's an AT-AT? AT&T?
Uh,
What are you talking about? Cell
yeah,
phone characters
that's
now?
my cell phone
Oh
provider.
no, I'm working with one of these
The
guys
ad
that mispronounces at.
I say all the different ones. I say it every different way
Oh,
you could
don't
want
worry.
to.
Any clip Opus finds of us talking about how to say at post, because people love to scream and yell about it and tell us how fucking stupid we are, or at least me.
But AT-ATs are super hard to take down. We know they're super hard. We've seen how hard they are to take down.
Toe
This one
cable.
here looks like you could probably push it over
Yeah,
with
shoot it with a BB gun. That's why.
yeah,
It
take it
deserves
out.
C tier. It's done. We're not
There we
wasting
go.
any more breath on this one. All right, so here's the granddaddy of all AT vehicles, the AT-AT. And
Yes.
I don't care what you guys say. It's not the AT-AT. It's never been the AT-AT. Go back to 1980s commercials when the damn toy's coming out and they literally call it AT-AT. Enough said. Stop it! It's ridiculous, this AT-AT shit. This one, honestly, I don't think it warrants more than 30 seconds of debate, even though I would love to talk about it, because the AT-AT to me is the definitive Star Wars land vehicle, and it always will be. Look at all the AT vehicles that spawned from it. It literally started a thing in the prequel generation. There's like 900 AT vehicles from the prequels because of
Yeah, there's
the
too
AT-AT.
many.
I don't care what the first time you saw those motherfuckers on the horizon of Hoth getting ready to attack Echo Base, you're like, holy shit. What the fuck? The Empire has that too? They just blew up a Death Star, but they have those things? How are those idiots on the ground in white with their little pea shooters going to take those things down? The way they walk, the way they sound, their destructive capabilities. Every little kid wanted one of those when they saw them. So to me, there's really no debate, but I'd like young Nick to add any superlatives or hyperbolic statements that I left out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the classic, it's the ones that really set off the entire prequel trilogy, as you said. Like, we got this AT-AT in ESB, and then in ROTJ, we get the little brother. But then once we hit the prequel trilogy, we're like, we got to expand on these things a lot. So it's the granddaddy of them all. It's S tier for sure. We've seen it. We've basically seen them single-handedly take out Echo Base. Like, yeah, you had the ground troops in there, but like, if it was just the ground troops, I think that the rebels repel that attack pretty easily. Like,
Yeah.
we saw a couple of the AT-ATs get taken down, but like,
by
not
what?
nearly.
A Force user.
Yes,
literally.
exactly.
He took out two of them. He helped trip the one up, right?
Yep, and then he hops in
and
and
he cuts the other one up.
Explodes the other one. So I do think that this is S tier. Obviously, like, we saw the capabilities of these machines, no questions asked.
Of course it is. Well, you know what? The way I uploaded images, we are on an at kick right now because now we're
Yes.
moving into the sequel trilogy. So the next gen version of the at this one is the at M6. See how that works? You would not say at M6. It's at M6, the all terrain mega caliber 6 Walker, whatever the fuck that means. That's what Ryan Johnson and team wanted to call it. We really only got to see him in action on Crate. To me, Nick, they looked like gorillas. The way they walked, I mean,
Yeah.
they literally like walk on their knuckles. The way they turned their head and kind of stomped to fire on Jedi Master Luke also elicited imagery of like an animal, which was kind of neat. But I'll
Yeah.
be honest with you, I do not prefer them as much as the OG at. They made enough changes to make it look very animalistic. So much so that I'm like, you know what? I don't really get the knuckle walking look and the kind of the humpback here or the hunchback on these things. And for Christ's sakes, they couldn't even kill a Jedi ghost. So what do you think about the at M6s? Do they deserve a place next to their father, or should they be relegated?
I know this is a tough one, right? Because it's technically supposed to be an upgrade, but I agree with you. I like the visual changes. I don't think that we really saw enough of them to really place them in that S tier with the granddaddy of them all, the AT-AT. I do like the adjustments that they made to the cargo hold area where like the sides can open up. I believe that's a functionality of them. So instead of only having like a hatch that you can come in and go out of to get in, the sides can open up. You can deploy troops from there. So there's a little bit of an upgrade in that arena, but clearly they have pretty good firepower. They can blow a hole in the crate ground and leave some damage there.
More,
But
more, more.
um, other than that, I think that they're A tier. I think that they have a really cool design. I do like the animalistic changes that they made to the design aspects of it. I like that
They even growl a little
uh,
bit, right? Like don't they go like right,
the
right, right?
sound, yeah, there's more of a sound associated with it than there were for the or a different sound associated than there is for the AT-AT original. So I think it's A tier though. I think that they're a massive structure. They clearly have a little bit of movement capability, and their firepower is nothing to be scoffed at. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not going to fight you on that. You know, after all, it is based on the at, so you got to give it some credit there. And you know, maybe honestly, I think the reason they made the changes to the legs, and I'm probably making this up, but it sounds good, is it was a direct defense to the tow cable attack. I might be onto something here.
Dude, that actually makes a ton of sense. You know, like they recognize the weakness
Yeah,
from the Imperial days, and they're like, we gotta have something
live
that
and
can,
learn,
you know.
live and learn. That first order, they weren't as dumb as they look. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Okay, so moving right along here, if you just tuned in, we are tier ranking 42 Star Wars land vehicles, at least the more iconic ones. I'm sure some of you diehards could poke holes in this list and say there should be way more. I did find a bunch from random video games like Empire at War or Galactic Battlegrounds where Nick would be like, what the hell is that? Like, what is that tank? So I was like, no, we're not going to do that. All right, let's head back to the prequel area, though. We're still on the AT train, all right? We're still talking about these all-terrain vehicles that all stemmed from George's AT-AT from Empire Strikes Back. This next one here, again, you very, very brief glimpse of it. It's like one of the opening shots of Felucia, where they're coming down in the forest. You see a battle taking place. There's actually a few ships on here from that scene that you might have missed. But I'm talking about the AT-OT, or as we may want to call the AT-OT, because OT plus OT equals OT. But the AT-OT is the all-terrain open transport, Nick, and it's kind of cool in that it's kind of like an AT-E without a roof. So a bunch of clones just sit on the top, so they've got the high ground, and they just ride in the thing, blowing the shit out of ground troops. So it just kind of gives ground forces a platform to snipe from while also having its own arms. But I know the picture's tiny. Shape very similar to the all-terrain or the AT-TE from the Clone Wars era, but not quite that tanky-looking thing.
Yeah, so it's got, so just to give a little bit more context, 4 laser cannons. 2 of them are forward-facing medium cannons, 2 rear anti-personnel cannons, so 2 in the front, 2 in the back, open top, fits several clone troopers, and then walked at a maximum speed of 55 kilometers per hour, which, if you are from across the pond, let us dumb Americans know how many that is in miles per hour. I think it's probably around 30 miles
It's
an
at
hour,
least
somewhere around there,
5,000
right?
miles, I think.
Yeah, it's super fast.
Yeah.
But the concept is very cool. It's a, Grand Army of the Republic vehicle. I think that the
Bad.
biggest weakness of this is that they have an open top, which is nice if you're shooting down, but if you have an aerial vehicle that's flying overhead, if you have one of these buzz droids, or if you have an in atmosphere CIS flying vehicle overhead, you have no cover. You're just getting
Yeah.
pelted. You're
Shooting fish in a
done.
barrel.
Exactly. So I would say, because of that very glaring weakness, I'd probably put it in B tier. I can see that it's good to get around like jungle areas like Felucia, give people vantage points and stuff like that, but doesn't look like their mounted cannons are that strong, and they're primarily relying on their troopers on the inside to do a lot of their fighting. But if those troopers on the inside, if somebody has the high ground on them, it's over. So
Very,
I'll
very
put it B
true.
tier.
Good points there. I will agree with you. I think it's B tier. It's not completely ugly like the attack pod. So I think B's a fair treatment there. All right, moving back to the original trilogy. And again, I probably should have qualified this list and said it's vehicles that cannot fly in space, because we're talking about the Bespin Cloud Car. One of the more interesting vehicles George and team cooked up in the OT, when you think about it, Nick, it's got twin hulls, essentially, and then the engine is in between, and you're like, well, why not just put two seats in one cockpit? It's not like these things can separate and fly on their own. But hey, it's Star Wars. Doesn't have to make sense. They were kind of like the security patrol around Bespin there, or Cloud City. It is kind of a unique look. It's that orangey. It almost feels like a British taxi cab, obviously stuck together with that little bridge that also serves as the engine. So it like I said, it's a vehicle that doesn't make a ton of sense, but it does kind of look cool. I just wonder, why do you need two pilots to fly this thing?
Yeah, that's, like, obviously with large planes like we have, in real life, you have a pilot and a co-pilot, but they're sitting next to each other. They're not separated across some random like middle pod thing that where your engine sits. Here's what I'll say on this one. I think the design while it is interesting, I don't think it to be very effective. I don't know of any. Let's see if there's any weaponry on this thing. Looking here,
Pew, pew,
powered
pew.
by an ion engine, repulsor lift engines.
Things are always
Housed.
better in
Okay,
twos, like
so
Bat says.
it says right here, the vehicle pilot controlled the craft from the port side, which, if you are unfamiliar with ship terminology, that would be your left side, while the gunner housed within the starboard pod. So your pilot is on your left, your gunner is on your right,
Okay.
and then it just has a pair of light blaster cannons.
Okay.
So here's what I'll say. It doesn't look super maneuverable. It's a single engine craft, and the engine is placed right in the middle. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is like C or scrap metal tier. It doesn't look like there's, like, even though it has guns,
Scrap
there's
metal. Oh
not a
shit.
lot of combat capability there. It's just got light
You
blaster cannons, which,
warmonger.
like, if like I'm just saying, if you're a security vehicle and you're trying to protect a place that
Okay.
is known
Okay.
for harvesting minerals, materials, gases, maybe you should have something that's a little bit more combat ready, because I'm going to tell you this, like, even against the Millennium Falcon's hull, this thing ain't doing nothing. Like, those little light blaster cannons are not going to crack the hull of the Millennium
Bat makes a
Falcon.
good point. I mean, Han was like,
So
okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and land. Because remember, they strafe his ass, right? When he's like, yo, I know
they
Lando, come on.
They did, but he wasn't like, I don't, he's probably like, look, I don't want to blow up my friend's ships. Like, I
Yeah.
could take these things out
Hey,
easy, but I'm
Chewie,
not
get on
trying
the
to get
turret,
into,
pal. Take care of these
yeah,
jokers. All right, so you're saying
yeah. I
C
mean,
tier scrap metal.
That's where I'll
Man,
say.
you know what? I don't necessarily hate it. Like honestly, I hate the AT-AP more than this thing. Um, so I think I'll settle on C then. I can't put
Okay, that's fine.
Lando's
That's fine. I'll
lovely
take it.
cloud car. Just even the name cloud car. It sounds like a clown car. I mean, it deserves to at least be C tier. All right, good stuff there.
All
Next
right.
one here, prequel generation, the Phantom Menace, the AAT tank from the Trade Federation. I love these things, man. I love the way they sound. I love the way they look. I love the way they operate. The way they, the sound of their hover, complemented with the sound of their cannon. They got Roger in there, Roger running the thing. So I honestly, it's one of my more favorite vehicles from the Trade Federation, the Separatists, CIS, whatever they turned into. I just really like this tank. It was most heavily used in the Phantom Menace and then the Clone Wars
Mhm.
cartoons, but they're they're
Mhm.
they're pretty badass. I mean, they got a cannon. They've got those lower things that can kind of shoot shit out of them as well. I mean, they got plenty of weaponry, and for the most part, you would think they'd be autonomous, but they do require, I believe, a B1
Yeah,
to at
they
least pilot it. So, what do
exactly. Yeah, the B ones are in there.
what do you think of the
Um,
AAT, Nick? I mean, is it high on your list, or is this kind of too plain Jane?
yeah, it's like I'm trying to really figure out the best way to place this because it's obviously a very iconic
Dun
vehicle
dun dun dun
from,
dun 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 dun
and it's
dun
even
dun
like
dun dun
even outside
dun
of the movies,
dun.
like it was in every Battlefront game, I believe. I think it was
Yeah,
an OG Battlefront 1, 2. It's in new
it's a tried
Battlefront
and
1,
true
2.
vehicle in Star Wars at this point for sure. It's a staple.
Definitely. Definitely. So I don't think it's quite S tier because I think there's some maneuverability concerns with it, and it's not large enough to like an AT, like one of the larger AT vehicles
Yeah,
to
it's
not
a
have
true
to worry
tank.
about. Yeah, like it can still get damaged. You can take them out pretty easily in the games. We also saw that
Booba.
Gungans just took them out with the Boombas. So I would say that like I'm thinking like maybe high B, low A tier is where I'm going with. I think it's a fair assessment.
All right. Well, whenever you give me that opening where we got splitsies, that's where I'll sometimes bring in my fanboy hat. And there's
Okay.
just something about this tank. And listen, I don't hate the prequel trilogy. There's not my favorite. Okay, not a lot of standout stuff from there for me. But this tank may be one of them. So I'm going to go ahead. Nick gave me the opening. I'm going to put the AAT into A tier. So for all you haters out there to think I just sit here and pound and punch down at the prequels all the time, suck it. All right.
There you go.
We're staying with the prequels, and we saw this vehicle for the first time, I believe, in Revenge of the Sith on Kashyyyk after all the shit goes down, after Order 66 is called in. They're kind of out there scanning bodies, looking for Grandmaster Yoda, and the clones are riding what is known as the AT-RT, the All-Terrain Recon Transport.
Mhm.
Some could argue they were the early basis for the Chicken Walkers, our AT-STs.
Yep.
Obviously, much smaller, but function the same way. Two legs, clones would be up in the pod, and it really did look like they were, riding an ostrich or a chicken. So I know they're more widely used in the Clone Wars cartoon, but you did get to them in live action a bit. It is kind of neat seeing them the way they walk and how fast clones can get around. They've got a turret, and with a clone on them, they're going to be even more deadly because you've got essentially Mandalorian piloting them. So, what do you think about the AT-RT, Nick?
Yeah, another one that you can find in some video games as well, especially the newer Battlefront games. I think they're really cool vehicles. I would almost consider these in the same category as I mean, I guess not quite the indoor speeder, but it is like more of a personal vehicle. It's not really like a transport vehicle, larger vehicle like we've talked about a couple times. I think that these are cool. I really do think that these are cool. I think that the combat capability to essentially take it from like a single man vehicle, you have like some good cover behind, like in front of you, with the way that the
Hell
cockpit is
yeah.
built out.
You
It's not
you can
fully
just stomp on
encapsulated.
ground forces, man. You just run
Yeah,
through
like
the lines with this thing.
exactly. Like if you're not against any other vehicles, then you're in a really good spot if you're in this. It's got your turret, like you mentioned on it. I think that given its style and capabilities, I would probably put it in A tier. I know it's weird putting this in A tier next to like, the AAT tank like we just talked about, but it is a different style of vehicle, and I think that it serves its purpose well. So I would say A tier for this.
Yeah, Bat's saying cool AF seems kind of wonky, easy to take out. Sure, who knows? Doesn't matter. It might look cool, might walk cool. And don't we see Din Djarin on on something similar in Mando Grogu Sizzles when he's like running down that hill to
Yeah,
catch
it's
up with the
something
AT-ATs? So
something similar. Something
yeah, it might
similar
have
for
some
sure.
legs too and make it into the Mandoverse era. So A tier, B tier, I don't
Where are
know.
you feeling?
I don't know. I mean that other the open transport does feel a little lonely there.
Yeah,
I
I
think
could see
I
B
think I'm
tier
gonna
for
put it.
this
I'm
one.
gonna put it B. I'm gonna put it B because it is. I mean, as cool as it is, It's like, how practical is it really? How practical is it really?
Yeah,
Hot
very
toy coming soon.
specialized uses. Very
Yeah,
specialized uses.
yeah. I think Bat is right. They released like a Hot Toys version of this thing with a clone. So that, I mean, it would be like this big, probably almost 2 feet high. All right, next one here. Let's just stick with it. This one we saw debut in the Battle of Geonosis. It's easily one of my most favorite Star Wars land vehicles. Hear that, prequel people? I am a very open-minded fan at this point in time. Quit making fun of me. But the AT-E, or the all-terrain, whatever the hell it is, all-terrain tactical enforcer. It's just a bunch of bullshit, really. Just a bunch of words they threw out there.
Yeah,
I
it's literally
love
just
it.
a walking tank.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, this thing has always reminded me of like a gecko because of the iPods. It's got like these
Mm,
bulbous eyes on it. It does
yeah.
feel again like a living creature, kind of like the AT-RT or the AT-M6 we were talking about. It's got a massive cannon. It's got clones and cannons. It can walk up cliff faces. We saw that in the Clone Wars movie. So not only can it waylaced on a level plane, it can also go vertical and do the same thing, which is very impressive. It's just one of those things where it's like, you know what? Kudos to George and his concept artist, because it felt very fresh. It still feels fresh looking, but you can also kind of see the through line to its successors being, the
Yeah.
AT-AT ultimately. So I'm a big fan of the AT-TE, even though I'm always being accused of being a prequel hater.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this one it's got a lot of offensive capability.
Yeah, chill
It's
out,
got
based
6
and
lasers.
brazen. Sorry, Nick. He's getting crazy here. Fan enough to say
B-Mad's
Rots
going
is the best Star Wars? No, come on. Go
that
on
is
beyond the
no.
Dune Sea if you want to start spewing those types of opinions. Okay.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, like, really good offensive capabilities. Clearly is a predecessor to what we see in the future with the AT-ATs. I really like the design of it as well. Um, from what I mean, and it seems like it's got some pretty good defensive capability as well. Yeah, I mean, I would put this in A tier. I think that this is a pretty strong A, maybe even S tier vehicle.
Yeah,
Could this be the first like S tier prequel vehicle that
I
we really line up?
I honestly think so, Nick. I do think it deserves a spot there. It's another thing. I mean, it's also in Battlefronts, right? I mean, you can pilot one of
Yeah,
these things, so
you can.
it's I really do appreciate it. I think it's super cool, and like I said, it's the fact it can scale a cliff face and go save a little baby hut that we're going to see in Mando and Grogu. I mean, the history behind it is also very strong. So I'm going to go ahead and make the executive call and bring AT-TE up to S tier.
There
Or
we
for
go.
you prequel fans, the AT-TE. It's just, that's too much of a mouthful. Why do you people like saying AT? Ugh! Next up, Battle of Geonosis also made its debut. I love this thing. I love it.
Yeah.
It literally has a Pinocchio nose, 2 fucking eyes, and a smiley face. Like, no joke. George saw that and was like, yes, we're doing that. We are making a walking spider tank that looks like it has a fucking face, and I don't care what anyone says. I'm talking about the dwarf spider. All right, the dwarf spider tank. Again, saw it for the first time, Battle of Geonosis. I am not kidding. It's got 4 legs. It's got a long nose, and it has 2 eyes and a smiley face. Right, Nick? I mean, I am not embellishing here.
No, you're
its
dead on.
chassis is someone's fucking head, and for that fact alone, it is S tier. But I'll let Nick weigh in. Maybe he can chip it down a few levels.
I think it, like the look of it is definitely super cool. From what I can remember, we saw these things get blasted pretty easily. Like they're not the most sturdy of vehicle. We saw them taken out pretty easily. Their weaponry is limited, so they only have that one nose mounted cannon. It can do rapid fire and burst fire, so there's 2 firing modes to it. But I will say that they're pretty vulnerable out there. You know, they're not a super heavily armored vehicle. They can get blown up pretty easily. This is like a lot. They're more used for like putting down heavy
Who cares
fire.
if it actually works? Just look at how it looks, man. Like
it's funny looking. It's funny looking. I would say like B or A tier on this one because of the look alone. But if I'm combat capability, I'd probably put a little lower.
Oh man, he's such a curmudgeon. All right, I said S. He said B or A. If you do tier math, the logic equals A tier. All right, so we're gonna put the dwarf
I'm
spider
comfortable with that
in A tier. I love this thing. It's imagine if you were fighting a war and the enemy wheeled this thing out. You'd be like, what the are these people doing? Like, what are they doing here? Like, why would you design it like this? Why would you make it look like someone's head?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Raphael Nishizumi is saying that the dwarf spiders were on the side of the cliffs just like the AT-ATs, Nick. Come on. Give them some credit. All right. We'll still keep it A tier.
I think that A tier is appropriate. Right. I think that
you heard it here first, people. I tried to stump for the dwarf spider to be S tier, but young Nick would not have it. I have taken some liberties, so you know, with a little give and take. That's how we do it on a Star Wars time show. A little give and take sometimes. All right, we love the prequels, by the way, because the next like 10 ships or vehicles are still from the prequels.
There are also a lot more vehicles in the prequels than the OT.
Yeah,
even the sequel, even more than the sequels.
Very true. Next one here, it only shows up briefly as they're planning for the Battle of Naboo. Captain Panaka and his lackeys show up in it. It is known as a Naboo flash speeder. Had kind of that chrome blue look to it, Nick. A little turret on the back. But again, nothing that really was utilized in a way that you're like, oh damn, there goes that flash speeder again. It's not like Luke's, X-34. Where there's just a level of chutzpah to it where you're like, yeah, that's a fucking speeder I would love to have. Flash speeder, I don't know. You know, it's kind of like, meh. And the fact that Panaka was whipping it, that guy was such a douche anyways, so it's probably a douchey speeder to begin with. What do you think of the Nabooian flash speeder?
I mean, like you're saying, it's like not anything that's like super impressive. I don't consider it to be like, you know, something that I would want to ride around in myself either. I'm kind of leaning towards C
like an
tier
old
on this
Cadillac,
one.
right? Like a 1950s boat.
Yeah, exactly. So not something that I'm super interested in, but I think that C tier, that's where I'm leaning on this one. Again, like you said, not a ton of screen time. Not a ton of offensive capability.
Honestly, dude, just for the fact that Captain Panaka saw it, I do not like Captain Panaka. I think he's a dick.
Yeah, you're not a Panaka fan.
Well, guess what? He was such not a fan of this himself. He's not even in Attack of the Clones. They just replace him with Typho or whatever. Like no explanation whatsoever. Panaka just disappears because he's an idiot. All right, you know what? Screw him. I do. I hate his guts. Let's go and scrap metal. Your flash speeder sucks, Cap. Let's stick with speeders from Naboo. The next one is their Gian, Gian, the Gian speeder. Did not know that it was named. But you got to see this one when the security forces of Naboo roll back into Theed. See, I know the capital city of Naboo. How do you like that for being a loser?
There you go.
But they roll back into Theed and kind of pop things off by using the Gian speeder's mega back cannon to blow up an AAT, I believe. So it packs a punch for being a diminutive vehicle. Definitely not as big as an AAT, but one cannon blow kind of took one of those tanks out. So it definitely feels like it's more of a heavy hitter in terms of its weapons package, but still kind of that drabby blue, like bluish purple look. Very clean, as most things in Naboo were. So not super exciting, but definitely powerful. What do you think of the Gian speeder?
Yeah, I would say that given that it's got that like that one shot, one kill capability, but that's kind of it's a one trick type of vehicle. I'm leaning towards B because it can do heavy damage. It can do heavy damage. But if it gets caught out, it's over. You're done. There's no way you're gonna escape the blast that comes from it. Um I would say actually I'm gonna lean towards C because I'm looking at the AT-PD, the AT-PD or whatever that one is. That's PD, right? PT.
Yeah,
Which one's in C?
whatever. Yeah, it's that stupid one that I kind of hate.
Yeah. So I think I'm
it's the
leaning towards
AP.
C on this one.
All right.
AP. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
AP, I
I'll
think
do
it's in
C.
that area.
I'll do C. C
I
works
think
for
it's
me
yeah.
on the Gian speeder. Gian. Hey, Sean. All right. Hey, based and brazen, I love you, buddy. Is this real? What Mando Pirate's saying? Can someone give me a check on this, an internet check or an AI check? Mando Pirate's saying that Panaka became an Imperial Moff, so even more reason to hate Panaka. I hope so, because I hated him without even knowing that knowledge. So that just makes
Let's
it
see.
easier.
Karsh Panaka,
Yeah,
Imperial Moff.
Really?
Yeah, he became an Imperial Moff. Imperial
What a
Moff. Immediately
douchebag.
after Clone Wars, Supreme Chancellor abolished the Republic and replaced it with the Galactic Empire. Blah blah blah. So like, since he was it's basically like since he was a part of the Naboo Guard, and he was familiar. Palpatine was familiar with him. He was like, "All right, you're now a
Wow.
part of the Empire. You are
What
now
a douche.
Moff Panaka."
There you go. Well, I am justified in all that shit I just talked on that man. So screw him.
All that hate, you were right.
Screw him. He
You were
earns
right.
it. All right, this next one again. I'll be interested to see what Nick says because he's like, dude, it literally just fucking opens up and drops off droids. But I love it. I think it's fantastic. I'm talking about the good old multi-troop transport from the Trade Federation, the MTT, those big brown things that almost run over Jar Jar in the swamp before Qui-Gon saves them. Then they open up their guts and dump out like a whole battalion of battle droids. An awesome looking scene at the Battle of Naboo when they kind of line up and present, and the droids drop up, and then they kind of transform into their full form. It really on the outside, it's just like it's a big brown loaf of bread. But I don't know. It's just something about this thing stands out. I don't know if it's because TPM is my favorite movie, the way it sounds, the way it delivers the droids on the battlefield being kind of a standout moment. But Nick, I'm a fan of the MTT, so why don't you get us started on a tier debate here for this one? Because I have a feeling you're gonna be like, dude, it's a fucking like a bus for droids.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to rank this one, right? Like it's hard to say like what is like what's its capability other than moving troops around. I guess it's very heavily armored. It looks like there's some weaponry on it, but we've never seen them fire. So it's really hard to rank it in terms of like its offensive capabilities. I mean, it's a troop transport, right? It's a troop transport. It hovers. It's not. It's C, B, C. I think C maybe, but it could be better. It's just really hard to judge what it does, right?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, just the fact that George and team were like, you know what, they use battle droids, but you're not going to just, you're not going to march battle droids into battle. That's not, economically efficient. It's too hard to move them around, keep them in line. So they're like, no, we're going to make these big ass troop transports that are essentially clothes racks for B1 droid bodies. I don't know. I like this thing. So I heard it being a C, so I'm going to go ahead and take the B. I don't know. I've got some affinity for this thing, even though it really is just a troop mover. But I like
Yeah,
it. I like
that's
it.
fine. That's fine. We could do B. We could
B
do
it up.
B.
All right. Well, the inhabitants of the MTT also had their own personal vehicles. We also saw Anakin Skywalker get on some every once in a while. And as Bat may be saying, there is a 1/6 scale hot toy version of this vehicle with General Skywalker riding it. We are talking about the STAP, or that kind of personal stand-up speeder that we see the B1s on, again, right before or right after Jar Jar was saved by the Jedi. So, kind of a cool looking vehicle. I would love to ride one of these. I think it's as awesome as the Scout Trooper speeders are. I think zipping around on a STAP would be even more fun. There's just something about like standing up and zipping around, to me, would feel like an amusement park ride. So I'm a big fan of the STAP. Nick, where are you on this personal land vehicle from the Trade Federation?
For me, I would probably say like it's similar to the OG like Chicken Walker from the prequels, right? Like it gets you around. It's a personal vehicle. It's got a little bit of offensive capability, but it's not gonna like protect you on a battlefield where there's a bunch of stuff that's flying your way. There's heavier vehicles. I would say like B
It's
or
the
C
one
tier
wheel
is
of
kind
Star
of
Wars. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm with you, Bat. The one wheel
It's
of Star Wars. All right, that's what I mean. Like the STAP just looks fun to zip around on, and it essentially
yeah.
has an M60 mounted on front. So I'd love to take this out on the highway and be like, "Oh, you're in my way. Go 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 go! Oh, you're in my way too." Blah, 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 blah. So, like I said, Nick, if he gives me windows and I feel strongly about something, I'm always going to bump it up. So I will put the STAP in B. It goes B.
Okay. All right.
Okay, next one here should be a pretty quick and easy debate. It's one of the first land vehicles, if not the first land vehicle we have ever seen in Star Wars, if you grew up in the OT era or if A New Hope was your first film or foray into Star Wars. It's the good old X-34 landspeeder piloted by a farm boy Luke. He sells the shit for basically 2 ponchos and some cab fare on the Falcon. But there's just something about this thing that screams Star Wars. I think even non-Star Wars fans would be able to go, that's a land speeder. I've got one out in my garage that my daughter still likes to tool around in at 9. She's had it since she's about 2.5. It's just, it is. Luke's land speeder, as it is called, is one of those super iconic items from Star Wars that just crosses the fandom into pop culture. So, and unless you've got a real hard angle on this one, I think this is S tier.
Yeah, I mean, it's S tier purely for the, like you said, like the nostalgia for the, you know, the long tenure it's had in our memories from originally coming through in the OT, the very beginning of the OT. I don't think it's a particularly good vehicle. I'll say that. If I'm ranking this based off of like just how good is the vehicle, this is probably bottom of the barrel
Oh, it's
scrap
beat
metal
up. I
type
mean,
of
it's
stuff.
like a Chevy Nova. It's like most, if
Yeah.
you're a high school kid and your parents didn't just buy you everything, it's one of those cars.
Yeah, it's not even like a classic. I wouldn't even call it a classic car. I'll say S tier just for the nostalgia of it, but
Yes.
realistically, like you said, Luke sold this for some gas money and was
Ooh.
happy to be rid of it.
Hey, don't
And
forget the ponchos
you know,
though. He got 2
yeah, and the
ponchos.
poncho. So he got what he needed out of it. It's S
uh,
tier, but really,
it
it's
is. It
probably
is.
scrap
It
metal.
is. It is. It really is. And honestly, so's this next one, but we'll talk about it. This is one of my favorite vehicles as well. I know I'm starting to sound like Richard Christie from the Stern Show, where that's my favorite, where everything's my favorite, so nothing even matters what I'm saying right now. I'm just some big dumb idiot, like I love it all. But the AT-ST, yes, that one is pronounced AT-ST. You would not pronounce it AT-ST. Okay, see, are we starting to figure this out? Thank you. But real fans, we call it the chicken walker. I had one of these as a toy as a kid, the Kenner one, where you like press it and it would like fall apart. I love it. I can't even like start talking about it. It is just what's there to say. This thing is awesome. It walks like a chicken. It's got a face on it, right? It's got two eyes and a mouth.
Mhm.
All the what we saw it do on Endor was fantastic. The way it could be taken out was also cool to watch. But the way the rebels used it against the Imperials, this is another vehicle I'd love to have in my backyard to take out for a spin and maybe clear rush hour traffic on 270. But I love the chicken walker. It's an easy S tier for me. But Nick, we'll see what he has to say here.
It's S tier too, but I mean, come on, man. It was taken out by some Ewoks out in the forest, which is some wood and some string, some rope.
Well,
It's
that's
S
because the
tier.
Empire they discounted the tactical abilities of the Ewoks. Okay.
You're right. You're right. You're right. But we do see some flaws in it. But I still think it's S tier. I mean, it's the first vehicle that we see that has the movement capability that it does and the destructive capability that it does. Like an AT-AT itself, you can like run from, move, or like if you're not directly in front of an AT-AT, it's got no shot at you. Like you can just flank on the sides, you're fine. This one, if you're running around, like it can keep up with your movements. It has good firing capabilities. We've seen that it can just move the head side to side and fire. I think that it's S tier. I think it's a top tier destructive vehicle for sure.
Bat, you might be wrong. I don't know if I've always called this one ATST or at ST. I've literally mostly have called it a chicken walker because that's what my dad called it. So
Yeah,
we'll
chicken
settle
walker
it
was
there.
a
It's the chicken
common term.
walker. Based and brazen. I meditate to the force. Matt doesn't snap one day for humanity's sake. As you should. As you should. I won't go into it, but let's just say coming home from the beach this year, some road rage happened where I was not in the fault, but I wanted to make sure the person that almost ran me off the road paid for that sin, and I scared myself a little bit. Doing almost 100 on the turnpike, almost rubbing wheels NASCAR style with someone because he almost pushed me off the road trying to merge left like an asshole and wouldn't just wait his time. So yeah, but you're not too far off, based and brazen. That's why I stay in my basement. Okay, thank you. All right, a bu- Navy SEAL 2K. A bunch of fishermen took out the ATSD. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very
The
true.
whole family was in the truck, so that's the other reason. Like I snapped, but then I had to realize, oh, hey, dickhead, while you're driving like this, it's there's other people in the back, so chill out. And I eventually calmed down, but here you are. Yeah, Chicken Walker, S tier. Thank you. All right, the next one we're looking at here, it's in general a swoop bike, but we are looking at Emphas Ness bike because I think hers is very iconic. It had a few action scenes in the Solo movie, a big one there where when they're stealing the coaxium on Vandor. It's a badass looking bike. I mean, to me, Nick, it's always looked like the Star Wars version of a chopper. We have choppers
Yeah,
here where
yeah.
people will essentially customize a cycle. You had the long handlebar or the long front spokes or whatever the fuck you're gonna call that. Not front spokes, but the fork. You can have ape hangers. So that's kind of what I feel like this scout bike or Emphasis scout bike looks like. It's damn cool, and it got a toy.
Yeah.
So usually, if they're willing to make a toy, the creators are invested. They think fans are gonna love it. So what would you think of Emphasis swoop bike?
Yeah, I think it looks super cool. It's like it has a reminiscent design to the speeders that we see in ROTJ, like except much more extended. So you are getting that like chopper style type of build with it. You got the high handlebars on it. You got the wing in the back. I mean, it's a cool looking vehicle for sure. I mean, I'm leaning towards A tier here. I don't think that it quite cracks the S tier because I think that what we have there are like the true icons of Star Wars land vehicles that people will see it and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly where that's from." So I think it's super cool. I think we've also it also sounds cool. Like I remember her rolling up on that. That thing has a mean sound, maneuverable,
Oh yeah.
fast. So I would say A tier.
Yeah, I dig this thing. It's pretty damn cool, and in some of the better action sequences in the Solo movie. So we'll A it up on that swoop bike. All right, next one here. Most people just know it as Grievous's wheel bike. The official name, I'm not kidding. It's borderline. You might as well just call it the Temu 6 wheel bike. But it's Tsmu 6 wheel bike that we saw Grievous try to escape on in Revenge of the Sith as he's running away from Obi-Wan Kenobi on his lizard bird. But I mean, it's literally a wheel of death. Okay, it's. I know we even have, like, some people. I know there's vehicles like this. Some people have invented wheels you sit in and roll around. So it's even made it to the real world. But what'd you think of this when Grievous jumps in this thing, and it really is like a buzzsaw that
Yeah.
zips around Utapau until it gets taken out, and then him and Obi have their final confrontation.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to like about this, right? Like it is kind of like a buzzsaw. You can see like the blade like apparatuses on the wheel itself. It also has legs where it can like deploy and
Yep,
jump. Like
jumps.
uh yeah, it jumps. It has blasters attached to it as well. Like this thing is actually super cool. I'm a big fan of this vehicle. I actually in Star Wars The Old Republic MMO, they have mounts that are very very similar to this that I whip around in sometimes when I'm playing the game. So I think that this is probably an A tier vehicle as well. Super fast, super maneuverable, has multiple modes to move around with both the spinning wheel and the legs to help you traverse jumps and gaps. Has good weaponry on it, and if somebody gets in your way, you literally just slice them to pieces. It's
Yeah,
pretty wild.
yeah. I mean, it's a drivable buzzsaw. So I'm with you here, man. I think this earns an A. It's just another one of those where you're like, damn, good on you, George and concept artist team. Like, good on you guys.
Yeah, I know, right? That is
Way
such
to
a
dream.
fun
Way to
design.
use those imaginations, because
Truly,
it is
truly.
wild looking. All right, here's a good one here. I don't even know if you can see what this is, Nick, but it's from one of the Ewok cartoons. It's an Ewok battle wagon. So it's got like a massive skull on the front, stone wheels. It's all made out of wood. You got Ewoks on top, slinging rocks from the top. You know there are some motherfucking warriors. Back when we used to do our Star Wars time D&D, Chief Matlu
Hmm.
was a murderous Ewok
Ewok.
chieftain that was excommunicated from Endor because of how crazy he was. But I think he would have loved to roll around in this battle wagon. You gotta love them, man. They live in the trees. They use their resources. It might look like it's from thousands of years ago here on Earth, and it definitely did not compete with the technological tears that the galaxy had that these little bears shared. But you gotta love that they built battle wagons.
Yeah,
Battle wagons.
ingenuity.
Yes.
Ingenuity. So here's how it was constructed. So it's two tiers. The lower
E-Dog
tier
saying S for this one. All right.
the lower tier has a battering ram on it. So it's essentially like built out of wood that has a hole in the middle of it that a battering ram can swing through.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you're really thinking about it and you want like a picture of it in your head, think of Grand from
Gron.
Lord of the Rings.
Gron. Gron.
Yeah.
Gron.
So it's like swinging on that. So it's got a battering ram. And then the top section is literally, it says an upper stage with the skull of a tusked bantha alongside of a ceremonial drum. So it literally is just the Grand thing. It's like
Yeah.
the Grand, except it's not, it doesn't have like a
You
pig
got
for a
Paplu up
battering
there. It's like
ram.
do 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 do
Yeah.
do 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 do. They're like yub
Uh,
nub, each up yub nub, and then they come to your gate and they're like yub
they're,
nub
that's
yub
right.
nub. Until they
they're
break it
yub
down.
nubbing while they're busting your door down, baby. They're not messing around. It is cool, and it's fun to think like it's fun to lore build off of this. That like
What were they breaking
this
into? What was it? Was it Tarek and
exact
like those piratey people from the Battle of
dude.
Endor? I mean, what were these
That's
fucking things
exactly
fighting?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting to. It's like this vehicle alone proves that the Ewoks were a warfaring people, so much
Yeah.
so that they built a vehicle to bust other
It's a
like to
siege
batter
vehicle,
doors
right? I mean,
down.
this is for a
Yeah,
siege.
like this is
What the fuck are
wild
they
to think about that.
sieging? Like, what,
So
what
like
else is on that moon that we don't know about?
you can now build an entire story in your head of like what are there wars between different Ewok
See?
factions? Like, do we not
Chief
know
Matlu,
that there?
he's the one. It's his
Yeah,
faction building all these war
it,
machines. That's why he got kicked
that's
off the
right.
planet.
I mean,
I
I think
love
it's
it.
super cool. I think it shows like well, one, the level of technology of the Ewoks to a certain degree, that they're a warfaring people and that they had war drums and cry. I mean, I put it like
Hell
A or
yeah.
B tier
Hell yeah.
is what I'd say.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Let's do A tier on this one. All right, next up,
Nice.
saw the Battle of Geonosis. It's a mean motherfucker. It's got like it's got like tank treads and then these two massive circular discs that are loaded with nothing but hailfire missiles. And we are literally talking about the hailfire tank here. I mean, you get to see on that
Yeah.
battlefield, it just rolls out like almost like one of those super fast tanks we see in our own world. And then when it unleashes its volley of missiles, this thing is ready to rock. So, in the sake of time, we are going to pick up the conversation just a little bit, not as quick as we did last week. But what do you think about the Hailfire tank here?
Yeah, from what I can remember of this one, it is kind of like a one and done type of deal because it like unloads its payload, but then I saw some dude that was just like had just like a shoulder mounted rocket launcher, it just blow it to pieces. So it's like super fragile, really meant for anti-air,
Yeah,
and it's truly like if you're just going up like even if it comes up against like a basically armed ground vehicle, it's screwed. So I would say it's like probably B tier because it does have that anti-air capability, but it's so fragile that almost anything on the ground could take it
yeah,
out.
I'd do a B on that. It does look cool as shit, but practicality is not very high on
Not
that one.
high.
All right, here we go. We got another land speeder, if you will. This one got some action as well, possibly driven by one of the best pilots in the galaxy. We're talking about the M68 land speeder that we see Han kind of start the solo movie in by stealing it from one of the factions on Corellia. He does pretty well with it. He does pretty well until he misjudges an alley between two buildings and gets it stuck. But it's a very unique looking speeder. I mean, I don't know if this was Ron's decision or Chris and Homeboy's decision before they got fired, but it feels very much like a 1950s type of car, at least in terms of
Yeah, I know.
the chassis, right? So, what do you think of the?
It reminds me of American Graffiti to a certain
There
degree,
you
right?
go,
Like
exactly.
and it's like so I don't know if that was like the aim when they were going for it because like American Graffiti, George Lucas, Ron Howard is in that movie too. Are they like trying to design that way? I think it's super cool looking. It obviously maneuvers very well, can make jumps, is pretty durable. It got banged around
Oh
in
yeah.
that ride a lot. I think this is A tier. I think it's super fun vehicle, honestly.
All right. I will
A
not
or B?
fight you.
I'll
I will
take
not.
B
No,
if you're
no. It's A, man. Han Solo graced it. Kiera sat in the seat for that alone. It's A tier for you seat sniffers out there. All right. Another CIS vehicle that debuted at the Battle of Geonosis. This one's pretty massive. It almost walked on stilts. It's the father to the dwarf spider. This is the homing spider. We saw it's got like this massive laser on top that it can just like cut ships in half, cut troop lines in half, AT-ATs in half. It seems powerful, but again, like a lot of this CIS stuff, the practicality of its build and the way it gets around seems questionable. So, what do you think about the
yeah.
homing spider here, Nick?
Yeah, again, it's like it has the weaponry is powerful. Like it has those powerful lasers, but it's also again like I saw this thing literally lose a leg and then it just goes down. Like it's just done. If it loses one of its legs, it just teeters, it's over. It's relatively easy to take out. I'm kind of leaning towards like B or C tier with this one because it is kind of like a one shot, one hit type of deal, and it doesn't have the best maneuverability. It can barely
Yeah,
move.
I'll take it to B just for looks alone. Like I really I love what George and team were doing with all these vehicles because on paper they do look cool. But as Nick keeps explaining, their functionality is probably piss because of the way they look and their design. But I'll keep the homing spider B action. All right, this one I kind of again, is this really a land vehicle? It's underwater. It's kind of a submarine, but I figured why not? I do want to bring up that Based and Brazen mentioned that we probably should have included the speeder bikes from the Mod Squad from Book of Boba, and that was a good point. Good point. Didn't make the list, but I'm with you. But I did feel like including the Bongo from TPM. Okay, it's got a sweet name. It's named after a drum.
Yeah.
Its engine is literally, it just twists around and it's almost like a fish tail.
Hmm.
Okay, it can be eaten by Mondo Gooby Dooby fish and survive. It sounds cool. It looks cool. I don't know. What do you think about the Bongo? Does it even deserve to be on this list since it's not a land or air vehicle? It is purely sea based.
It is a sea-based vehicle, so technically not that doesn't really fall in the category, but
No, not at
um
all.
I, I like the bongo. I actually like the design of
I
the
do
bongo.
too.
I thought it looked really cool. Like you were saying, like look cool, sounds cool. It survived that bite, like you said too. If we're ranking it, I would probably say B tier. It's got good
All right.
maneuverability, good speed, good survivability underwater against very large foes. I don't think there's any weaponry to it, but hey, it got around pretty well.
It
So
is
I would
zippy.
say
It
B
is
tier
zippy.
for
I
this
mean,
one.
it literally it's built like a fish and it moves like one. So I'm with you. I think B is fair for the bongo. That's right, B and B. That's what I'm gonna start calling you now. Based and brazen, B squared. We do make our own criteria because we are him. All right. Next up, if you can see it, we've seen it pop up a bit in the Mandoverse era these days. I think it debuted maybe in Rebels. But it had a pretty great action scene in Mando. If you remember when Grief, was it Kara, I believe, is on it as well. Mando is in the Razor Crest, but they're escaping. This is in season 2. They're escaping that Imperial facility, and two TIEs pursue it. So we know it can cover itself. I mean, it's got turrets on the back, on the front. It's got some maneuverability, but it is kind of built like a van almost. It's like a long van or a short bus, short bus if you will. Stormtroopers, so we're so funny. But what do you think about the ITT here, the Imperial Troop Transport? They can like pop out of it, Nick, and almost have like a
Yeah.
shield to start shooting out of. So it's got that functionality as well.
Yeah. So I mean, it is not the prettiest looking vehicle. It's got a little bit
Very
of
boxy.
uh yeah, very boxy, limited ability to protect itself like you said, just kind of the one cannon on the back and then the one at the front. I would say it's like B tier. It's a good tank for sure. Like it will protect your troops. But if you're caught out in just one of those and you're trying to defend yourself, you're probably going to be in a lot of trouble. So I would probably say B or C tier. I'm leaning towards B just because the defensive capability means you can stay protected a little bit longer than you would in something like the AT-PD or the vehicles that are in C tier. I'm leaning towards like maybe low B, high C. I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't think I can put it down there with the Xi'an cloud car and the pods, so I'll move it up to B. Just mostly for that shootout scene in Mando season
Yeah.
2. That's
Yeah.
where it gets the
Yeah.
bump. All right, this next one again. If you blinked, you missed it. It's in the overshot when they approach Felucia, just like we saw. Oh, it's all coming out of me now, people. I'm sorry. Just like that, the open troop transport we talked about. This is Nick. It's called a. We'll use the grunt term for it, the swamp speeder. So two clones would sit in it. It is a speeder type. It was used on Felucia. Clearly, it's going to be loaded with weapons, but it's another one of these vehicles that yes, it exists in Star Wars canon. It's in the movies, but like I said, unless you freeze frame, you didn't even know they existed. So I don't know
Yeah.
where we can
So
go on this type of
if
deal.
if you're looking this up, it's called the Infantry Support Platform, the ISP. So that's what we're looking at. Like you said, very, very little information on this vehicle. We only saw for a small bit. Uh, let's see if I can find out anything about this thing's capabilities. Turbofan and repulsor lift engine, so it's got multiple different methods of transportation. Double twin blaster cannons. I mean, it's super hard to judge this because we've never really seen it in action too much. I'm gonna say that it's probably in the B tier. It looks like it has a decent amount
Yeah, it's
of
cool
cover,
looking.
like the way, yeah, looks cool. Double blaster cannons can fit multiple people in it. It's basically an armored fan boat. If you've ever seen fan
Yes.
boats,
Yes.
is the
Now I
best
know
way
why
to.
you like this thing. You nailed it.
So I would say it's either high C or low B because
Th-
even the way it's built, like you're just kind of hanging out in the open, like there's nothing covering you overhead,
this is
and if
something
you're,
the Caminita family would love to have down the
oh
bayou to
yeah, that's
go
how we get
get them
around to
some
buy
gator.
you.
Yeah. Go
So yeah,
put some treble hooks and gators and then show up the next day and shoot them point blank with a gun. I
that's
always love that show.
exactly.
It's like, yeah, is it
Uh,
really that hard to catch gators when you just literally force them to swallow a massive treble hook and then they sit
I
there and try
mean,
to get away all day and then you just show up and go, "Pooga!" But hey,
that is
guess it
how it's
has to
done
happen,
in
right?
the
You got to
bayou.
thin out the population down there
You do
apparently.
have to do that because they will creep
All
into
right.
populated
Where do you want to
areas.
put this one, Nick? Are you into
I would
A?
say like high. I'm thinking like B. I'm thinking B tier.
Yeah.
Like I could go even lower than that because like I could go C because if you really look at the way that this thing is designed, like the fan is right in between the two seats, and the two seats have completely zero cover. So
Yeah.
like you could just be standing outside and just shoot a regular blaster pistol and hit one of the dudes that's in this
No, you're
vehicle.
right. I mean, it's legitimately a hover boat like you guys use
Yeah.
down there. Those fan boats,
So
whatever the hell it is.
I would say high C tier maybe. I
Okay,
think that's where it appropriately
you've
fits.
demoted it. You've demoted it. All right, the next one here, we saw it in action. Mando season 2, the Bill Burr episode. It's that big troop transport tanky. It almost looks like a turbo tank type of deal. It truly is just like a massive wagon. Like it's almost like a train truck, or like a tractor trailer
Yeah.
type of deal.
Yeah, it's an
Big
18 wheeler of Star Wars,
Yeah,
basically.
big wheels. Remember, Mando has the fight on top of it with other goons trying to take the shit out, or I guess the locals are trying to take it out because they hate the Empire. But it had a cool moment, but outside of that, it really is just like a massive truck.
Yeah, it's just a big truck. It doesn't have any like special capabilities other than the fact that it's got big ass wheels to allow you to go over some tough terrain. I'm saying probably B or C because there's really nothing like it just move. It's a people mover and that's really it. So yeah, I'll leave it to you to place it in its final
Yeah,
spot.
it's like, I mean, sure, I'd love to have one in real life for purposes. I've said having a chicken walker and the Grievous's wheel of death. It'd be great to just roll down a highway with one. But it is pretty boring to me. It's not scrap metal, but nothing really kind of gets my juices flowing. So I'm gonna C tier this one as well.
All
Now this
right.
next guy, you could argue might have been the predecessor for it, but the turbo tank, I love this thing. Like when you see it roll up and was it the Battle of Kashyyyk? I mean, it's like it's a monster truck on steroids, maybe even growth hormone. You kind of get to see modified versions, I believe, in the Solo movie where Jin's lock or where they free Jin from. But this thing is
Yeah.
large, it moves fast, and I believe it's got a pretty beefy weapons package. So I'm all up
Oh
on the
yeah.
turbo tank.
Yeah, I mean it's the HAVW A6 Juggernaut. So that is the official name of it. Clone turbo tank, as Matt said,
Yeah, the Juggernaut. There
highly
you go.
deadly vehicle. highly deadly vehicle, lots of offensive capability, lots of armor on this thing too. I mean, it is truly a huge tank that can also do a lot of damage. So I'm saying that this is like A tier at minimum. I could see arguments for putting this in S tier, but I'm saying A tier at min for this one.
Yeah, it is a tough one. It is. I don't know. It's just so
It's
damn.
not like iconic, but it's a beefy vehicle.
Yeah, I wonder how, like, prequel generation people, is this something that you would like hold in the same regard as an AT-AT for my kind? Because I know, you everyone's gonna love their things more than other people's things, but it just it seems so mean. Like, it's just such a mean vehicle. I don't know. I fuck it. Just for the meanness alone, I'm gonna S tier that thing. The name
Okay, yeah, I could
Juggernaut,
see
like
it.
Juggernaut, just screams S tier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see it. I can see it.
All right, this next one, I didn't even know they had a name or that they were even a thing, but we're talking about the AT-HH, the all-terrain heavy hauler used by the First Order in The Last Jedi to drag that mega cannon onto the battlefield to blow that door open that the Resistance base was hiding behind. So, Nick, it's
Yeah,
literally a rectangle hauling vehicle.
it's a tugboat.
Yes, it's a
It's a
tugboat
tugboat.
on land. 100%. You are
Yeah.
correct.
So it has, I mean, basically that is what it is, tugboat on land. Like it doesn't have its own offensive capabilities, like obviously heavily armored, but like if you were to just see one of these things out and about, like they're not fast, they have no offensive capability. It's a set, they look like just crawling buildings almost. Like you could simply just move to the side of it if if it wasn't tugging something along for its own purposes, there is absolutely no use for this thing. I'm going to say scrap metal just because like on its own, it's completely useless. Like nobody wants to like bum around in a tugboat
No.
just to ride it. Like
Yeah. No, you're right, Nick.
you know.
This thing's stupid. Like, it's just dumb. Like, why would if you have a laser or cannon that big, why not just put it on wheels or tank treads itself? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like you're also like this thing like the laser cannon itself doesn't even have wheels. It's literally being dragged across
Dragged.
the surface
Yeah.
of crate. Like who the hell in Star like in the First Order wasn't like just toss some wheels on this
Yeah.
bitch
It
so we
it
don't
makes no
need these
sense.
tugboats.
Makes no
like,
sense. Scrap
like
metal. See ya
scrap
later.
metal.
All right, this next one I love. You get a good shot of it in Revenge of the Sith on Kashyyyk as the droids come across the water to mount their attack against the Wookiees. It is the NR N99 Persuader class tank droid. Where Nick, I know our image sucks, you can't really see it, but if you look them up, it feels like an
It's got like
insect or a
eyes.
crab almost,
Yeah.
or like a snail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's got the eyes and the bigger body, but they're just like zipping through. I think it's this thing where Chewbacca does like the
Yeah.
Tarzan and slaps a mine
A
on it.
bomb
I don't know.
on it. Yeah.
It's another one of these CIS vehicles where it feels like a living thing. We made fun of the
Yeah. Yeah.
spider tanks because they look kind of dumb and they didn't seem practical. Where these seem as practical as it gets. They can ride in water. They can ride on land. They seem to be
Yeah.
all terrain. So what do you think about the NR N99 Persuader tank droid?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we saw Chewie take one out with a well-placed mine, but I mean, the way that this thing is built, it's got multiple sets of treads. So even if you knocked off the middle tread, it's still got two other treads on the side, multiple blaster cannons attached to the front on either side. Also has concussion missiles and ion cannons. So this thing is loaded to bear. I'm saying because of this truly all-terrain vehicle, we've seen come out of water onto land. I'm gonna say it's A tier. I think this is
Yeah, yeah,
a
it's
higher
awesome.
ranking
And it
CIS
moves
vehicle.
with a purpose. If you remember, like this thing scoots. It feels
Yeah,
like the
it's
Juggernaut to me in
fast.
terms of its pace and power. All right, we got another speeder. I guess this you could call it a speeder bike, although it's very large, but it is kind of cool. Our Lady Rey whipped one in The Force Awakens, and it's been affectionately called Rey's speeder. So what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Ray didn't have a ton of, financial burden on her. So she, like she got what she could get. It was cool looking. I called it the popsicle speeder the first time I saw it because it reminds me of like a good bar popsicle or something like that. Um, I would say it's probably like C tier. I mean, let's be real. I know that it's Ray's, and I know that we don't want to speak ill of Ray's, Ray's things, but this isn't the best speeder out there. This is like, and it's not going to be up there in S tier with Luke's speeder that he sold for some pittance to get off of Tatooine either. I think that this is truly like a C tier scrap metal type of
It is
vehicle.
pretty. Yeah, it is. It's clunky. I don't think it's scrap. It's definitely not down with these stupid flash speeders and that tugboat as you called it. But I could see where it might not stand out. It serves its purpose. It's a speeder for a scavenger, right? She needed that
Exactly.
kind of the big engine chassis there to tie all her haul to. But I'm with you, man. I think we could C tier that shit. All right,
All right.
next one here. We've got Jabba's sail barge, aka the Katana. It was a pleasure vessel. It also had its weapons flanked by mini barges or skiffs, if you want to call them that. But I mean, it looked pretty cool. It's massive. I mean, the set itself, they literally built the fucking thing out in the desert to shoot it. I know there's a 1/18 scale. Hasbro did a few years back of this thing, so it is kind of a fan
Yeah.
favorite type of vehicle. What do you think about this? The Jabba's pleasure barge.
Yeah, I mean, Ches Pix has put up some good stuff of that 118 scale. So if you are familiar with Chez's work, he's definitely got some Jabba sail barge pictures out there. Um, I think it's S tier, dude. I mean, this is good. This is a pleasure vehicle. This is like a cruise ship. Like you got your entertainment areas, you got your bartenders, you got
Slave Leia
your
alone makes this
buffet.
S tier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, buffet table and everything. Like this is decked out, and like you said, it's got its own weaponry. It's got its own side barges where it has the security forces. I think this is S tier for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't want to piss off the big guy anyways, because isn't his kid gonna be in the Mando and Grogu movie? So
It's true. That's true.
what's that kid? What's that Hut's name again? It's escaping me.
Rada.
Yeah, Rod of the Hut. There you go, dude. I'm starting to really get worried. I might have screwed the pooch on my brain here. So guess I'll blame it on COVID. All right, up next, it's one of the largest land vehicles we saw, and the best part is it moves around some of the smallest characters in Star Wars. I think that's what kind of makes it iconic. We're talking about the Jawa Sandcrawler. I mean, we really barely got to see it until I think George did some of the special edits and gave us another cut
Yeah,
of it.
full a
It,
full
it
view.
it gets some more love and some great moments in Mando season 1, right when they steal a shit and he tries to get on it. That's all kind of cool. You get to see how they work it and defend it, where they'll pop out of the sides and start stabbing with electrical prods. But you gotta love that. And who knows? I mean, did the Jawas build these themselves? Did they get them commissioned, made? Like I don't even know how that happens. But Nick, they are so damn big, and isn't this essentially their everything? Or isn't their Sandcrawler
Yeah,
kind of it for them? They feel very
yeah.
nomad like to me, at least the way they've been portrayed. They're definitely scavengers. So it's like it's not only their vehicle to get around and house the shit they steal from people to sell back to them, but it's also, I believe, their home in a sense. It's like an RV. It's Star Wars's RV, and I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, it's super big, doesn't have any offensive capabilities that we know of, and we know that they can be taken out by some stormtroopers
It's a
because when
rhombus on wheels. Nice.
yeah. I mean, we see in the beginning of A New Hope that like you roll back up to the Lars homestead and like a sand crawlers taken out. They like by the stormtroopers that were there taking out Owen and Baru. So not the most defensible vehicle made out of it's probably literally made out of scrap metal. Like let's be real. I'm like I know it's an iconic one, but like, what can it really do? I'm putting this in like C scrap metal tier because
Oh
it's
my
just like it's
god.
just super it's super slow. You can't defend yourself on it or in it. And it's not made out of like sturdy material. We literally within the opening of A New Hope see one get taken out pretty easily. So I don't
Man,
know, man. I don't know.
that's Nick just has no nostalgic love for classic Star Wars vehicles here. And here you go, Bat. I am correct as always, but I had the internet verify it. Yes, Jawas primarily live in sand crawlers. These massive mobile fortresses serve as their homes, workshops, and bases of operation in the Tatooine desert. Bingo, bango. I win again. I don't know, Nick. That's kind of rude what you're doing to the Sandcrawler, saying C tier scrap metal, really. But since you kind of set the bar, I would be foolish to put it much higher than that. I mean, you do have some points. To me, it's so iconic, but it is just kind of a thing. All right, I guess I'll let you win this time, C tier. Okay,
All
we
right.
got one of the other more iconic pod racers. I wasn't going to include them all because I'd be like, well, is this Ben Quadraneros or is this that guy? Who the fuck knows? But we definitely saw plenty of Sabalba's pod racer. I mean, its engine sound alone almost brings it to the high tiers. I'm not kidding. It was such a mean looking pod racer, mean looking, mean sounding, mean performing. I mean, Sababa would use those big ass engines to, butt out other racers and overtake them, jump over them. He could launch his devious tactics on Anakin's pod from his with ease. What do you think about Sabalba's racer? Is it S tier like Anakin's, or because he
No.
loses, does it get dropped a few notches?
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning towards like high B, low A tier. It's a losing vehicle straight up. He had to cheat to even get in front. Like at the very best, this is a second place pod racer that is driven by one of the more respected or feared pod racers out there in Sebulba, and then just purely gets blown out of the water once Anakin fixes his pod racer and is actually just made a fool of because it gets
Poodoo.
fucking scrapped, and then he's just sitting there in the cockpit on the ground. I'll say high B for this, but I know that you have a soft
No, I
spot for
I
it.
mean
So
honestly, it's just the sound because it's like clunk 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 clunk
yeah.
clunk clunk clunk
Dun,
clunk
dun,
clunk
dun,
clunk. I
dun.
mean, I love that, but that's
Mhm.
really my only affinity for this. So I can feel you on the B. All right, another one here. Moving through these last few as quick as we can. This one you might not even remember here, people, but it comes from the Gennady Clone Wars 2003 Clone Wars. It was from the Mace Windu episode. This is the seismic tank. It literally just floats above the surface, and when it's ready, it drops this massive steel cylinder that is so big and comes down with so much force it essentially creates mini earthquakes and craters. Now, Mace Windu finally did something impressive and took one down by himself, but that, we're not really evaluating that. He is a Jedi Master after all. But what do you think about that seismic tank, Nick?
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I can barely remember it. Shockwaves on the surface of the planet, like you said, can definitely cause some damage. It looks like it's slow, boxy. I'll say B tier for this one because doesn't have a ton of maneuverability, but could definitely
No.
do some damage.
Yeah,
Could
they're
definitely do
slow
some
moving,
damage.
but I think if it wasn't for the Jedi Master being there, it probably would have continued to wreak havoc. So, all right, B tier. Next one we're looking at here. These were Galactic Republic tanks on Geonosis. They were essentially stationary turbo laser tanks. We saw them all open fire on one of the droid control ship command balls as it was starting to
Mhm.
try to escape Geonosis, and they waylaid that shit. So they're truly like old school. I would almost call them siege weapons, where they just kind of park themselves, lock in because of the power of their laser. But that's the key. They can pack one hell of a punch, so much so that they can take down essentially command ships on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for that reason, because they are like, we're stuck here, like we're a siege weapon. high degree of damage that it can do, as we saw, like you were saying, with the Trade Federation ships taking off. But like it can really only shoot one direction. Like you're not refocusing that down towards like a vehicle that's oncoming towards you. It's a sitting duck target. High damage in certain situations, no maneuverability, no ability to change target. I'm saying low B or C tier on this one because it can take out those single target vehicles like we're seeing, but it really can't even protect
Yeah,
itself.
well, dude, C's feeling lonely, so it needs some friends. All right, the next one here we got to see in Rebels. This is the all terrain or AT-DP, the AT-DIP. So the all terrain defense pod. Again, it looks very predecessory to the AT-ST. I believe they're much smaller, and they might have just been personal vehicles. But they, like I said, they're chicken walker-ish. They've got a head, don't
Yep.
have the eyes, but they got two big lumps on the side, and then the main cannon. So those
Yeah.
are all-terrain
Yeah.
defense pods.
Yeah. So bipedal Imperial Walker, basically just a like smaller, less menacing AT, ST. I would say B tier on this one. Like only has the single cannon in the front. Not nearly as menacing as the AT-ST. So I would say B tier is a
Yeah, I don't
fair
know, man.
placement for
This
that.
one that we differ on. I think it's kind of dumb. So I'm gonna go
Okay.
C. I'm gonna go C.
I could see that. I could
We're
see
still
that.
on some ATs. This one you briefly saw in the Solo movie when he's fighting on Mimbom. It is the AT-DT. It's literally just a walking mass of turrets. So it's pretty cool looking. I know the image isn't the best here, but if you look up the AT-DT, this thing is pretty badass looking. It really is just like a mini howitzer mounted on two chicken legs. So probably fairly formidable,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
as cool
So
looking as the chicken walker.
not as cool looking as the chicken walker, can put down some heavy fire for sure. I would say that because of its offensive capabilities purely, it's like it might be I'm leaning towards high B because it can be easy to take out, but man, can it put down a hail of fire.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it is kind of cool looking. I mean, just a walking turret is kind of neat. All right, the Imperial hover tank. Saw those in Rogue One. We got a few new
Mhm.
trooper units out of it, and the tank commander, pretty sweet helmet there. But we had Saul's forces blow it up. But it is a pretty cool looking tank, low to the ground. You can load troops in it, and obviously it's got its own muscle to boot.
Yeah, I would say for this one, I'm leaning towards B tier. Obviously, like we've seen them multiple different locations. They're kind like they have some armor to them, but we've also seen them be taken out, like with a well placed grenade or anything like that. So leaning towards B tier here. Good for urban combat, not necessarily the best against larger vehicles or
Yeah,
explosions.
yeah. B works for me on that one. Sticking with Rogue One, we got another variant of the AT-AT. This one is the AT-ACT, as in AT-ACT. They kind of had those orange doors that would open up on the side.
Hmm.
Baze was being chased by one, and we saw U-Wing blow one up. So they're very AT-AT-y, but not AT-ATs. What do you think
Yeah,
about the
I would
AT-ACT?
say A tier for this as well, along with its sequel brother,
Thanks for the
you could
sub
say.
there, Frieza.
Yes, indeed. Frieza, thank you for the sub. It must be a Dragon Ball fan. Um, yeah, I would say A tier on this one because it's again like those AT-AT style vehicles. They're just so
Yeah,
useful. They're so sturdy, and then again, like having those openings on the side gives you a little bit more maneuverability, easier to drop off troops with. So I'd say A tier on this one.
all right, we got two to go here. I know we've been speeding these up. I screwed up and didn't turn up the clock earlier, so apologies to young Nick and the rest of you that don't like long versions of the SWTS, but we're almost done. We've got two to go. This one here is really wild. I think it's from a comic, but it's called the TIE Crawler. It's essentially a TIE fighter pod, but instead of the flat wings, it has tank treads. So it's pretty fucking cool looking. Although its exposure to the fan base, I think, is highly limited, which may
Yeah,
knock it down a few tiers.
very, very limited. You know how I feel about ties, Matt.
Yeah, I know.
Scrap
I know.
metal, okay?
I know.
Scrap, like,
I
I
made
don't
sure
even
to share
see.
that one from Opus. It was it was like,
Hey.
ooh, big debate ensues. I was like, you got it, AI.
Oh man, I just don't like. I'm not super up to what this thing can do. But if it has the defensive capabilities of a tie, you could probably step on it and it would break. I would say C tier on this one because it doesn't look like there's a ton of offensive capabilities behind it. And just putting like a tie ball on wheels or on treads just doesn't seem like it's going to be super great at
All right,
anything.
you win. You win. You and your anti-tie stance here. It's very
Hey,
you're almost like a bully
hey.
to me here. Bullying me over my love of the Empire ball-based vehicles. All right, our last one from the list of 42. We saved possibly the best or the worst for last, and it is a ski speeder from Crate. So they were rickety as fuck. I know we can't really blame it on them. They just weren't taken care of. But yeah, I mean they just didn't really make sense in the way they were designed. They were very wide, giving your opposition a large target to shoot at, which doesn't make sense. They literally required a ski to help them hover. So I don't know. What say
Yeah.
you? Do we have?
I,
Does our last one join the scrap heap, or does it get
yeah.
tiered?
Along with the other vehicle that we only ever saw on Crate, I think it deserves to be in scrap metal. I
Yeah.
don't even think that this vehicle was really designed for combat purposes. I think that like they were on Crate because that's where they ended up, and they were like, okay, well, there's these things here. That's the only vehicle type that is available to us. They were literally falling apart as the resistance was driving them across the salt flats. There's no offensive or defensive capability. It is literally scrap metal.
Yeah, it's scrap. Yeah, I was gonna say, Bat, if you're willing to give up some of your life to dedicate time to this dumbass show like I have to do to come up with these topics, I'm more than happy to have help. Okay, all right, thank you. I'll let our AI assistant know that they failed you on this list. Hey, look who's here! A wrench just showed up, Mr. Doty. What's he
There we
say?
go.
Would have made sense if they just used the ski speeders to blind the First Order with the red smoke and then actual
The red,
military. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
yeah,
that
kind
just
of like
validates
kick it
them
up.
being scrap metal. So there you go, everyone. We have done it all. I guess really the only tiers that matter, since we're running low on time, are S tier. We had the Scout Trooper speeder bike, Anakin's pod racer, the AT-AT, the AT-TE, Luke's land speeder, the AT-S tier, the chicken walker, the juggernaut, and the katana. And then scrap metal, we had the flash speeder from Naboo, the heavy hauler from The Last Jedi, and the ski speeder from The Last Jedi. If you tuned in late, make sure to rewind this thing and watch the full tier ranking. But we need to get out of here. We need to move on to the fan segment. So real quickly, to dedicate some love to our fans before we get to their specific segment, here is their output. If you're watching on the stream, as usual, the vertical does not update, which is a problem. So give me a second there. But the fans, their S tier breaks is at the chicken walker, Anakin's pod racer, the katana, the speeder bike, the AT-TE, sandcrawler Nick, Luke's land speeder, the homing spider, and
The
Sabalba's pod
homing.
racer. Scrap metal, they got the heavy
Wow.
hauler, the tie crawler, and these sons of bitches are shitting on our Ewok friends and putting their battle
Wow.
wagon in scrap metal. There's no metal in it. It
Look at
can't even be scrap
that.
metal, you
Can't even
dicks.
be, it's scrap wood. It's firewood.
That's right. That
All
is
right. So
right.
thank you to everybody who participated in the poll. Obviously, we enjoy the audience participation, and that's why we're moving into the fan segment. To get involved with the fan segment, make sure to follow us on Star Wars or Star Wars Time Show, Star Wars Time Show on Instagram. Star Wars Time Show is gone now, never to be never to be found again. Star Wars Time Show on Instagram. Look for the question of the week. This week it is, what is your most favorite Star Wars land vehicle? So Kicking that off, we have Mr. Mac, Michael Kramer, hitting us with the at.
Woot woot.
Easy peasy. Mando Pirate also coming in with the at.
Woot woot.
Phil, my buddy Phil says, Scout Trooper speeder bikes. So that was another S tier.
Double woot.
Scout Trooper speeder bikes. Just Reasons 2 says the Z70 or the 74Z speeder bike. It's the best, no competition.
Yep. Same thing. That's the Scout Trooper whip.
We have everybody loves Scout Trooper whip. Everybody loves the AT-ATs. Sissix also loves the AT-AT. On Instagram says AT-AT heart. 2797 Studios. Bat says the first one will always come to mind. The old X34 landspeeder will always hold a place in my heart, but I fell in love with the in-universe bikes. The first Icon speeder bikes from ROTJ, and then the clones had the awesome Bark speeders. Sweet. Now with all the variations in canon and beyond, love me some space speeder bikes. There we go.
Amen.
Darth Necros says the AT-ATs. That was again in our S tier. League of Extraordinary Sixer. She says the AT-AT because it always reminds me of a dog. There you go.
Welcome, SSSNR. You're in the right place, unless you're just being a weirdo, but welcome to the Star Wars Time Show.
Thank you for joining. GT Arts Fett says at, and then EKU Rory says sand crawler.
You disappoint a lot of fans today with that sand crawler shit talking you got into.
Hey, I'm just laying down the facts, baby. That's all. That's all you get from me is the facts. I'll just give you the facts. Thank you to everybody who participated in this week's question of the week.
That's
again at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram. Check it out there, or you can find it on our YouTube community or in our Discord. There we go. Now we are moving on to the top 5 Star Wars fan arts features of the week. To get involved, same thing at StarWarsTime.show on Instagram, and then add tag at StarWarsTime.show on your Star Wars Instagram posts. That is how we pick the top 5 from those tag posts. So to kick off this week's top 5, we have hot toys and hot coffee. What a good handle. Hot toys and hot coffee is giving us a cool look at some battlefield shots of troopers.
Yeah.
And one of them looks like they just got blasted up. The helmet is completely cracked up. You can see right under the eye, all the breaking around the faceplate. His buddy's coming over to check on him like, man, are you okay? Love the water effects on this. Love the posing and the just like the framing of the shot.
It's overall very cool. It's a very cool concept to kind of come up with, like, what would it look like to see a stormtrooper that got fucked up but lived?
Yeah.
And it's like you could see the paint like melted off. They got jacked so hard they're not wearing a glove on their hand. I don't know. It's a very creative shot from Hot Toys and Hot Coffee. Check them out on the IG. Hoop.
All right. Next up, we got Toy Master. TOYMAZTER on the Instagram, and they're giving us a sick shot of Darth Maul looking menacing as always. Love the use of atmosphere. Love the posing with that hand reaching out towards the camera, about to force choke somebody out. And then obviously Darth Maul just looks like a bad dude with the red eyes and the face paint and horns.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make Maul look bad, and Toy Mazder always does a great job making him look like a pimp. So check him out on the IG.
That's right. Next up, we have 850 Sith Lord, and 850 Sith Lord is giving us the Ronin recreation from season 1 of Star Wars Visions in full black and white, which I appreciate. I mean, this is just an awesome shot to really pay homage to that short from Vision season 1. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I still need to open mine. I actually ended up plunking down some change for these, even though I stopped collecting Black Series, and it was mostly because of people like 850 here putting out the shot. It is a good looking figure, and apparently, Nick, they've now made a colorized version of the Ronin coming out later this year. But yeah, 850 Sith Lord, all one word. Check them out on the IG.
That's right. Next up, we have Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, who's giving us a scene recreation from TPM, Duel of the Fates. We see Qui-Gon, we see Obi-Wan, we see Darth Maul, and we see them on the whatever it is, the bridge of that giant fucking whatever energy facility that they were in on Naboo fighting. Everybody's got their lightsabers clashing. Awesome scene recreation here from
Yeah,
Mr.
I mean
Stormtrooper
that's the key here.
Davis.
It's just the way Mr. Stormtrooper Davis was able to recreate this with toys, and I'm sure a little Digirama action here. Got the platform. I don't know, it's fantastic, as are most of Mr. Stormtrooper Davis's shots, also known as Mr. Toy Lord for Lego action. Check him out on the
That's
Instagram.
right. And then the final one this week is Coleccionista de Plastico, Coleccionista _ Plastico on
Hey,
Instagram.
we
And I
got a
mean, this
Capone
shot
just
here.
sub to the channel, Nick. Hell yeah.
Oh shoot, Bill
Not
Capone, which
Al,
one?
Sal. His
Sal
descendant. Yeah,
Capone,
Sal
welcome
Capone.
to the show. But this shot here from Coleccionista de Plastico is just crazy good. I mean, it is helmetless Vader that is holding up his helmet in front of him with the Force and just staring
Yep.
into the black void
He has
eyes.
creepy
And really,
uncle behind him.
yeah, with Palpatine there. Yeah,
Good.
it's just, you can just imagine what is going through Anakin / Vader's head as he looks into the lifeless eyes of the mask that is now his visage for everybody to see. I think it's just a really poignant shot and excellently executed by Coleccionista de Plastico.
Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi. Yeah, I mean, Collectionista kicks ass. I wish I would shoot my dolls like they do. I love it. Like, no
Yeah,
bullshit, no crazy setups, low light usually, a little bit of atmosphere, but they always hit. So check them out on Instagram.
that's right.
Hoorah.
That's the end of the top 5 and the end of our show for this week. So Matt, go ahead and close us out.
All right, buddy. Like I said, we went a little long today. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed the conversation. It's always fun when we go tier listing. Who knows what we'll do next week? We have had a fan request come in. Hey there, Pinky Reed. You just missed the show, but you can always watch the replay. Good to see you. Hello, hello, as Baba Booey would say. But like I said, our schedule's kind of open. I know we keep kind of undercutting what Beyond the Dune Sea is doing, which is kind of funny because I really don't talk to Connor. I'm not spying on them. But apparently they're doing starships this week, which we did last week, and then they're doing land vehicles next week, which we did this week. So if you want to see where they go with their rankings, their show's usually, Friday nights, Sunday nights, who knows? They're way bigger than us and more popular, so they don't need that much love anymore from our little asses. But if you're in our Discord and you got a bug up your butt and you want to hear us talk about something, we are open for business. The well is dry. So if we don't hear from you all, we're just going to keep using our own stupid brains and our AI overlords to help us. But Nick, I kind of liked what your buddy Phil was throwing at us. Maybe for next week, get away from vehicles and possibly get into troopers. I know Beyond the Dune Sea did one. They listed like 100. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We'll list as many clone troopers and imperial troopers as we can, but come on, we're not getting nutty.
Maybe stay away from the named ones too. Let's just go with trooper variants. Make it easier so we don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, because did he want troopers in general or just clones? Because if we did clones, then yeah, maybe you sprinkle in some of the names. But if it's just troopers, then we never really had named troopers in the OT, so you're just a troop.
Yeah, I think it's just like trooper variants, phase 1 clone, phase 2 clone, stormtrooper, range trooper, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, hey, Phil spoke. We have listened. So plan on it. Bank on it. Next week, we'll be tier ranking the troopers of Star Wars, and it's probably not going to be as deep or as in-depth as people like Bat want. See, I can kid tube that. All right, people, you know what to do. Keep talking about our stupid asses. Try to get us more fans. I need it. Sometimes I feel sad. I really do think we deserve a bigger audience, or at least to go viral more often than we do. Check out the channel, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. We'll be dropping clips throughout the week from old and new shows. Just in case you missed the full show, you can always get little bites to possibly tempt you to tuning into the full deal. If you liked what you heard today, we've got an open Discord. Just check out the description in this live stream video. And while you're down there, if you've seen that join channel button, give it some thought. We go as low as $1.99. You'll get the Vader cat the Vader cat next to your name, as well as custom emojis like the Vader trophy that I know one of our diehards will hopefully throw up here before I say goodbye. All right. I used to always say, hey, go to StarWarsTime.net, but I'm pretty sure we're phasing that thing out. So it's not that important anymore. But if you do want to see Nick's top 5 before the show, he always puts them up on StarWarsTime.net. And then the audio-only version of this podcast or this live stream will go there as well, at least through the end of 25. But this show will be hitting all podcast platforms probably by late afternoon Thursday, as we always do. So if you're a podcaster, sub up. Leave a rating and review. If you're a tuber, rating and review. There's League coming through to kind of show off some of the amenities or some of the bonuses you get for becoming an SWTS channel member. All right, my friends, there's always time for Star Wars Time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, or if you just let it sink into your brain through osmosis, the Force will be with you always.